There it is. There it is. Welcome everybody. Pugs Moran to the rant every day here, round about noonish today, 12:15, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios on the beautiful south side of Chicago. We do talk radio for the working class, normal people talk radio. And when I say normal people, I mean people who are not poisoned by the partisan political world that we live in. We are neither libtards or maggots or whatever you want to call. We're just normal people. We're working class people who are really pissed about the price of gasoline. That's it. That's the great unifier, right? That's when all the bullshit gets thrown away. When we're all going, how much is gas? Gas is going back up. It's going back up. Here in the beautiful Midwest, I told you we've been tracking it. It got as high as 479. 479, that was like 2 weeks ago. And then it went down to 414 last week. 414. That's still not the 259 it was when I first got here back in November, but whatever. Okay, they've eased us into expecting to pay more. So it was 414 last week. It's 449 this week. It's back up to 449. God knows. Ugh. Anyway, that's what we care about here. Shit like that. Keeping the bills paid, keeping the lights on, and we do it every day at 12:15. Talk for normal people, the working class. Yesterday I had an interesting night, a real interesting night, actually, now that I able to reflect upon it. Here, I told you, remember yesterday when we were wrapping up, I always like to look at the weather. For no other reason than, hey, let's see what it's going to be like for me here in Chicago, even though most of you people are in Texas. Some of you are in Chicago. Yes, I told you, it was looking a little bit, looking a little grizzly, looking a little April, looking a little rainy, looking a little crappy. And it was, and I was supposed to go to a White Sox game. Got the invite to go see my Chicago White Sox take on the California Angels. Yeah, I'm old. I still call them the California. Well, do they play in California? All right, then shut up. Then they're still the California Angels. Los Angeles Angels. Was going to go see them. An opportunity to see Mike Trout. Maybe spy a little Ohtani. What? He's not there anymore? Oh, he's a Dodger. That's right. Ohtani's a Dodger now. That's okay. We got the best Japanese baseball player in Major League Baseball on the South Side. He's a resident. More on him in a second. So I was going to go to the White Sox game last night, but it was going to rain. And I'm like, man, seeing a sub 500 team just because I want to watch one Japanese guy bat 4 times, seeing a sub 500 team and it's going to rain and it might be delayed. So I decided not to go. So I didn't go. One of the reasons that I wanted to go was because it was Dog Day at the White Sox Stadium last night. That's right. Guaranteed Rate Field hosted Dog Day, which is an annual day. And I guess a lot of people do it in baseball. But I mean, I remember this going back. This is like a Bill Veeck thing, like from the 1970s. The White Sox were doing like, bring your dog to the park, And that was before people had like any kind of dog training. So, people were bringing like really violent animals, I'm sure. The 70s, there were no rules. Grandmas would blow cigarette smoke right into babies' cradles. That was the 70s. But it was Dog Day yesterday at the White Sox game. Now, remember, I told you, I decided not to go because thunderstorms. What do we know about animals and thunderstorms? They don't like them. They don't like thunder, and oh my God, did we have a storm that rolled through Chicago last night? So the White Sox game, just as I'd anticipated, was delayed by the rains that came through right around a first pitch. I think the game was supposed to start at 6:40. I think the storms really started about 7 o'clock, and they went for like 3 hours. 3.5 hour rain delay for the White Sox game last night. They didn't get started till like 10 o'clock. They started playing baseball at like 10 o'clock last night. The Cubs, here's for those of us in Chicago who watch 2 baseball teams, not me, but others do. The Cubs were playing on the West Coast. The Cubs were playing, I think the Padres maybe, or maybe the Dodgers. I don't know, whatever. They're on the West Coast. I don't pay attention to the Cubs. I'm a White Sox fan. So the Cubs are on the West Coast. Their game ended an hour before the White Sox game, which was here locally. So I was looking at a long night. The game finally started. Around like 9, I don't know what time it started, whatever. It started very late, 9:30. And it was raining and it was wet. And remember, it's dog days. So they had like 25,000 people with their dogs there sitting through a 3-hour rain delay where they had to make the announcements, please head to the tunnels. We have some thunder and lightning coming. It was a bad scene. Can you imagine 3 hours? Can you imagine the puddles of fear piss that these dogs were just dropping everywhere all over this? I'm glad I didn't go. Anyway, when the game did resume, those who stayed got a treat. That's right. 12:33 in the morning last night. Now, I was in bed. My head was on the pillow. The game was on. Eyes are getting heavy. You know how that is? You're trying to stay awake. Your eyes are getting heavy. What's going on? Struggling to stay awake because Murakami is at the plate. That's right. Munetaka Murakami, Major League Baseball's home run leader, is at the plate. 12:33 in the evening, and then, this happens. You know why I'm playing this, because that's the voice of John Schriffen, the White Sox guy. And he loves Mooney, and he's trying to figure out, look, Mooney, he's the first guy in Major League Baseball to call Mooney's home runs. So he wants to make it good. He's the guy that's going to give him a nickname. He's the guy that's going to have the home run call that becomes synonymous with, Mooney. And we told you a couple of weeks ago about how he introduced the Southside Samurai. And then everybody went, you can't call him that. That's cultural appropriation. So he got in trouble. Like the White Sox were literally like, you can't do that anymore. Meanwhile, all the fans started making shirts that say Southside Samurai, and Mooney and his translator himself said, no, you got it wrong. It's not offensive in any way. It's actually a great compliment. Our national baseball team is the Nippon Samurais. That's we call our greatest sports athletes samurai. So for you here in America as a white man to refer to him as the Southside Samurai, that is a great honor to him. But no, a bunch of purple-haired, left-leaning, people who get offended for everybody else said that we can't call them that. So here we're hearing it. What did I suggest? I said the call's got to be moonshot, right? And I predicted that a couple of weeks ago. I said, okay, so he's got to do moonshot. Let's hear the home run call that nobody in that park. There is nobody. Nobody stuck out a 3.5-hour rain delay. Everybody took their dogs home. Let's not kid ourselves. The majority of the people who went there last night went with their dogs. As soon as the thunder and the lightning started happening, they took their dogs home. Nobody's going to sit there for 3.5 hours with their freaked out dog pissing everywhere. It's not happening. Anyway, moonshot. He went moonshot. A bit of a missed opportunity, I think, because I think you can really be performative with the moonshot. But, there you have it. Can we focus on something else now? And this is just for you baseball nerds. Listen to that sound. People are lining up at batting practice now just to hear that sound, that Murakami, when he barrels the ball, that beautiful sound. This guy makes a sound that we ain't heard on the South Side since Frank Thomas. Right? Nobody has made a sound this consistently when he makes contact. It's the South Side. It sounds like gunfire. Listen to this. It is gorgeous. Oh, if you've ever played baseball, you know what that feels like. You know what that sound means. Oh my God, what a beautiful sound. Okay, so I didn't go to the Sox game last night. It's okay. It's not like I missed out on that, Murakami home run. I wouldn't have stayed the 3.5 hours. I'd have been like a Labrador. I'd have been like, I gotta get out of here. This is insane. What are we doing here? This team is sub 500. It's Tuesday night in April. It's fucking tornado season. What are we doing here? That would have been me. So you know what I did instead? And this is going to get us into another rant. You know how you like my everyday lifestyle rants. You know what I did instead? I went to the Dollar Tree. That's right. I love my Dollar Tree. Why'd I go to the Dollar Tree yesterday? Well, because rumor has it that the Dollar Tree over by my house, they stockpile really good. It's the rare. Can we be honest about something? It's the rare Dollar Tree that's in a kind of nice neighborhood. It's kind of a nice. You know my rule. If you live within walking distance of a Dollar General, a Dollar Tree, or a Family Dollar, move. Move, because your property values are not going up. If you are within walking distance of any of those stores, you got to move. It's not good for the neighborhood. Anyway, there is a Dollar Tree in Frankfurt, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. It's a lot of, I understand why they put a Dollar Tree there, because it's a lot of old people with money. You know, old people with money, they scrimp. You think it'd be the opposite, right? You think you'd be an old person with money and you just, you wouldn't shop at Dollar Tree. But no, these people, they're thinking about their kids and their grandkids, apparently. Anyway, this particular Dollar Tree has a very, very rare brand of coffee that they sell for $1.25. So I went in, I had to go to the Dollar Tree and I had to buy, I bought 6 of them. I bought 6 of them, and now I've got really good coffee. What kind of coffee? Man, it's some really good, I don't know what it's called. It's some really good like boutique coffee that like you would probably pay like $20 for 4 ounces in a gift store somewhere. Or, the kind of coffee that they put in gift baskets, when you get that new promotion. It's good coffee. It's really good. Black Velvet is the kind that I like. It's Black Velvet. What kind of coffee is it? I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter. I go to the Dollar Tree. You people don't care what I went to the Dollar Tree for. Anyway, I'm at the Dollar Tree. Sure, I bought some candy too, because, man, the candy aisle at the Dollar Tree, I can't resist it. Raisinets. Am I old? My son thinks that I only like old people candy, right? I love Raisinets. I love chocolate-covered raisins. And I don't make a distinction between the milk chocolate Raisinets and the dark chocolate Raisinets. I like them both. As a matter of fact, I will get 2 boxes. I will eat some dark. I will eat some white, some milk, and then I will take and I will mix them. And it won't matter. I like Raisinets. Old people candy, as my son would say. That's old people candy. Oh, sorry that I don't just fill my gullet with like atomic raspberry nerds or whatever the fudge it is that you're eating. Weird kid candy got really weird. Anyway, I'm at the Dollar Tree and I almost lost my shit, you guys. You know how we all have to show our emotional maturity when we're in public with things that are just rank incompetence. Not even incompetence, just more like a complete lack of care about what you're doing. So I'm at the Dollar Tree, and there are some things that you expect at the Dollar Tree. Here's one of the things you expect. You expect to, at all times, be 5th in line, at least 5th in line. There will at least be 4 people in front of you. Also, one of the rules of the Dollar Tree is all 4 of those people are going to have way more shit than you got. They're going to have they'll have carts. You ever seen the people with the carts at the Dollar Tree? Look, you use a basket at the Dollar Tree. You're not shopping, right? This isn't Kroger. This isn't Jewel or Mariano's. So there's like 4 people in front of me, although I'm lucky because if I crane my neck backwards at the Dollar Tree, I see that there's like 15 behind me. So yeah, there's like 20 people in line at this Dollar Tree. And by the way, there's only about 20 people in the store. Everybody's in line. And they've got 6 lanes. Dollar Tree's got 6 lanes. I caught them. I counted. I stood there and I went 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to draw attention to myself because I'm a narcissist. I'm like, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 lanes that are empty. And then there's just like some old lady with like a wrist brace on, and she's like way in the back, and she's not doing anything. She's just standing by the cheap Tupperware. Like, should I open another lane? And I'm like looking at her like, hey, can we open another lane? I didn't say that. I wanted to, though. I was in line and I'm like, can we do something? So here's what happens. So not only is there a line of 15 people deep, of which I am about 5 in line, and all I've got are like 3 little bags of coffee. So I'm like 5th in line. There's like 15 below me. I'm making eye contact with the one other person who appears to be working here at this time to say, maybe you open another register. I don't know, maybe. And then I get up to a place in line where I can see what's going on with the girl. And I don't know. Honestly, this girl was probably 17, but if I'm being honest, she was like 6'2" and 300 pounds. She was bigger than anybody my son plays football with. And she's just up there and she is ringing people up. And I'm realizing that she's talking to everybody. And I'm like, why is she talking to everybody? And I'm starting to stew. I'm like, all right, you don't need to be chatting everybody up, right? And then I get close enough and I realize she's on the phone. She's on the phone talking with her girl. And like every other word is like girl. And, you know, she's got the little white thing in her ear and she's like, girl. And she's just like, oh, I was so fucking mad. It took every ounce of my emotional security. Thank God I have this rant because I can let it out now. But it took every ounce of my emotional security, maturity to be able to stifle all of that and just sit there and smile. And then guess what? I, on purpose, this was my little dicky thing that I did. So when it became my time, she didn't say hello. She didn't say anything. She was just, girl. girl. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, this is a high school kid. This girl, I thought she was like a woman in her 30s, but I get up there, I'm like, this is a high school kid. And she's just, there's one lane open. There's 20 people in line. She is not saying hello, how are you? Sorry for the wait. Doing any of that fucking shit that you're supposed to do. She's just, girl. So I get up there and I say to her, I go, hi, like that real loud. And the guy behind me laughed because he knew what I was doing. That's good. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Check out my live stream every day at noon. So I said, hi. And she, girl. And I go, girl. She never told me how much. She turned around. She dug through her purse. I held my card like, okay. And I paid my, she never said, you want a receipt? Nothing. It was all girl. And I walked out of there and I just stopped at the door before I exited. And I looked at the line of everybody. And I'm telling you, a good 5 of them were looking at me like, I'm surprised you didn't say anything. Because they all saw me going, hi. Like that's all I was doing. And she was ignoring me. All right, there you go. The Dollar Tree. I love the Dollar Tree. I love the Dollar Tree for a multitude of reasons. The candy aisle, the good coffee that they sometimes have. But mostly, I think because it drives me nuts and it allows me to just get all of this out. By the way, another alert, another Dollar Tree alert for those of you who are, economic shoppers. They're doing it again. Everything at Dollar Tree is now $1.25. It used to be $1. Remember when everything was 99 cents and there was that like magic barrier where you couldn't cross over the 99 cents? Then suddenly it just became a Dollar Tree. That's fine. Or a dollar store. Then inflation went up 14%. So they all raised their prices 25. That's right. Making an 11% profit because we all knew that inflation was going up. Well, they're going up another 25%. Half the shit at the Dollar Tree is now $1.50. But we don't need that. Let's say hi to the chat room. One of the things we like to do here in the chat room is award the first 3 people in. We call it the podium. Just like in Formula One racing, we reward first place, second place, and third place. First place today. Look at that. It's Barney. Hiya, Barney. Barney's getting the drink from the giant, the humorously oversized bottle of champagne first. Good for you, Barney. Second, we got Peter, King Peter. He, of course, of Peter and Kim. And April. April is third in. Hi, Apes. Who else do we have in the chat room that I need to say hi to today before we get rolling here? We've got Adam. We've got Ty. Taronda. Taronda didn't make the podium today. It's perfectly fine. That's perfectly. Taronda has earned the right to not make a podium. I'm just pointing out that it's the rare occasion. Maddie's here, my girl Maddie. All right, I just saw somebody say I can't hear, and that freaked me out for a minute. Adam Reyna, a man going after my own heart. He says, yeah, the best name was the California Angels of Anaheim. I am a California Angels, a Rod Carew California Angels truther. I miss the California Angels. Peter's in the chat room. He's just saying howdy, so I got to say howdy back. Howdy, Peter. April has an experience with dog night at the ballpark. She says, I took my big German Shepherd pups to Globe Life once. Never again. They were miserable. You know, that's the other thing about the White Sox game. It was dog night last night. There were a couple of things that people were talking about this morning concerning Murakami's 12:30 a.m. home run. Now, that is long past the time in the city of Chicago where you're allowed to, do really loud things. And of course, the White Sox famously have an exploding scoreboard that, is like sticks the dynamite loud whenever someone hits a home run. So we were wondering, did they suspend the exploding scoreboard because it was dog night? Like, did they go into dog night before there was a 3-hour rain delay? Did the White Sox team officials go into dog night and go, okay, this game will be played between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. and it's dog night, so maybe we don't do the exploding scoreboard? Like, was that a consideration? Because at 12:30 a.m., when Murakami hit his home run last night, the White Sox are not allowed to fire it off. So we don't know. We're like, we believe it went off. I don't, what, you know what? Now I got to look at the video again. Now we got to look at this damn video again. Did the scoreboard go off because it was 12:30? You're not allowed to do that shit on the south side of Chicago at 12:30. Yeah, too many guns and stuff. And it was dog day. So, oh, by the way, look at all the empty seats. There ain't nobody there. These guys started off. These guys showed up in the 7th inning, and now they're sitting right behind home plate. Okay, it's not going off. Look at that. They didn't do it. Now, did they not explode the scoreboard because of the dogs or because it was a violation of a city ordinance? We will never know. We will never know. All right. Yeah, I don't know about that. People. I've always had dogs that were high maintenance. Let's put it that way. Dogs that other people are like, I take my dog to Petco. I'm like, I've never had a dog that wasn't banned from Petco. All of my dogs. Literally, my dog Blue, who was who probably my prime dog in my life. I had her 14 years. So Blue was banned from every Petco and every pet shop, not because when I would take her, because I would never go to the Petco and just take the dog. I would just never take, that'd be too much trouble. She was banned because she would attack groomers. Like, she wouldn't let the groomers groom her. It's the worst. So I would never even consider taking a dog to nothing like that. Probably not a dog I would own. Although my next dog is probably going to be a rescue. I'll probably rescue an old sad pit bull. Right? Because I don't think I'm in the puppy game anymore. I think because I don't want to be how many years do I have left? Right? I don't know that I can. I think I can outlast a dog at this point, but not much. I don't have 2 dogs in me. Do you have 2 dogs left in your life? I don't have 2 dogs left in my life. So I think my next dogs will be a series of older dogs that I will share. Maybe I'll bring my little old pit bull to the park. A little docile guy. He can just sit in my lap and be chill. Maybe that's in my future. Let's see. Adam says he looks like he could be related to you. Are you talking about Mooney? Because I can see it. I can totally see how Murakami might look a little bit like Adam Reyna. Yeah, here we go. Maddie with some big news. King Charles is in the U.S. Now, I'm not going to talk much about this. The big state dinner is tonight. I imagine that there'll be news and stuff to talk about from the state dinner tomorrow. I was of the opinion that I was kind of hoping that Prince Charles would say no, because there was a big movement over there in England to make him not come. And it wasn't because they're anti-MAGA. No, they didn't want to come because their king is kind of infallible. Kind of, I know that if you look at the London tabloids, you know that that's not really the rule of thumb. But in the eyes, the king is ordained from God and all this kind of stuff. And the concern is that the king will appear with Trump in front of the press, and then Trump will do what he does, which is say something that's awkward and makes the dude next to him have to respond. And then, maybe they don't think King Charles is that quick to be able to respond appropriately. So that's what they were afraid of. They're afraid of the awkward during this time of particular strain in what's always known as the special relationship that we have with our cousins across the pond, the British Empire. We are not in the best of form with them right now. Their political leader, their government leader, Keir Starmer, is not a favorite of Trump, right? And so a lot of people felt that bringing the king here Like, I could totally see the Trump in a press conference go, I hate the guy he's got as prime minister. Hey, Charlie, he's a dick, right? And then, like, Charles is going to be like, well, I don't actually think that about my prime minister. But, and then what? The king is pushing back against the president, and now we got a whole thing. We know the president doesn't fear the Pope. The Pope does, the president doesn't fear King Charles, although I think he might, because I think King Charles might represent something in Trump's feeble little brain that is unattainable, which is something that he's seeking, which is this, monarch-like status, this untouchable. You don't have to be elected. You don't have to please people. You're just the king. And I think that because of the time that Trump grew up, he already said, he told King Charles, he said, hey, my mom loved you. My mom used to think you were the cutest. And I'm like, what? No, it was never a thing. Look, King Charles is older than me, but he was never cute. I mean, King Charles, even at his peak when he married Diana, he was weird looking. He's still a weird looking guy. So whatever. But I think that maybe Trump might be impressed with the King of England, so maybe he'll dial it back differently than maybe he would deal with a political person. I don't know. I still have thoughts. But anyway, the big state dinner is tonight, so I'm sure that there'll be something interesting. Build the ballroom. Where's the state dinner? Is it in the shitty little? What? We act like we don't have facilities at the White House. I used to watch The West Wing. They did nice state dinners. Build the ballroom. You know what? I say yes. Let's build. Hold on. What was the other woman's name? I can't think of it. I think I posted yesterday that, okay, maybe there is a good case for the ballroom. Can't wait for the next president to name it the Alex Preddy Memorial Ballroom. That'll be great. Who's the woman? Remember, there were two of them. They're going to put both of their names on there. Like, does Trump think that it's going to be called the Trump Ballroom? Like, just because it's being built under his administration? And here's the other thing about the stupid ballroom. I thought this was paid for. I thought that he had all of these people that were coming in and, he's a builder and he gets it done. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, we need taxes for the ballroom because people try to kill him at Hilton's. What? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, look, here's the thing about the ballroom that I don't get. If this was any other president and they're like, we're gonna modernize the White House, nobody would have a problem with it. The White House, modernizing the White House is not a big problem. It's only because it's Trump and people are like, he doesn't need a ballroom. Well, maybe we do. I don't know what we need and what we don't need at that level, but I know we're in the United States of America and we should have kick-ass shit. We should. We just should. So, stop it with I'm against the ballroom because it's Trump. You wouldn't give a fuck if Biden was building the ballroom. You really wouldn't. You'd argue that it's important for us to have a showplace for welcoming guests from around the world. Whatever. Just knock it off. My problem with the ballroom is I thought it was paid for. I didn't know and by the way, I would expect to pay for any kind of renovation to the White House. But here's the thing. He opened up with, and it's going to be paid for by all of my friends and sponsors. He opened with that. So now we're like, okay, cool. It's going to be paid for. And now it's not going to be paid for unless the Democrats fund the ballroom? What? So complicated. Dude, just start building a ball. Just say we're going to beautify the White House. We're going to build this ballroom. Instead of doing what it looks like he did, what did he do over the Rose Garden? Did he installed a Sparrow or something? There's like a Sparrow now in there in the Rose Garden. Anyway, I'm sure there's going to be some good stories coming out of that state dinner tonight at the White House that is not in the Alex Preddy Ballroom, but in fact, it's going to be, I guess, just in the regular old White House, dining room, right? They got a dining room. Let's see. What do we want to get into first here? All right, let's talk about the Kimmel situation. This is something we talked about yesterday. Jimmy Kimmel made some nasty jokes about Melania Trump. He made these jokes on the 13th, so last week, right? Well before the incidents of Saturday night, which may or may not have been an assassination attempt. I don't know. Whatever. We know Butler. We know what Butler was. That was an assassination attempt. They say that there were two, because remember there was a guy hiding in the bushes that they caught, but is that really an assassination attempt? Isn't that like all of the assassination attempts against Obama that were basically foiled before they happened, so we don't really count them as assassination attempts? I don't know. Anyway, so Jimmy Kimmel made a joke, and we played it last night. We'll play it again here, but it was essentially a roast joke about the age difference between Donald Trump and Melania, and how many hot young trophy wives who marry older men, they're just waiting for them to die. They're just waiting to become widows so that they can inherit the money, and they're still young and beautiful, and they can go and marry a pool boy or something. Whatever, they can find real love. That's the play. That's the play for the 28-year-old supermodel who marries the 70-year-old billionaire. Okay, that's the play. That's what Caroline Levitt is doing. That's the play. You hope that they have 10 to 15 more years, and then by that time you're 45, you're rich, so you're holding together well at 45. You look like a smoke show 45. And then you go out and find love with all your real money, and no problems. That's the play. God, I wish I could do. Does that exist in the gay world? Is that an option for? Look at me. I'm a man in my 50s. There ain't no billionaire gay man that's going to want to hook up with me. That's not even an option for me. It's not even an option. Like, even if I wanted to, they like twinks, right? Isn't that the phrase? Twinks. They like smooth, hairless. That's not me. Ugh. So now I'd have to be with like a freak billionaire who'd be into me. And could you imagine the downtime? I mean, when we're not doing freak billionaire sex stuff that I'm just doing so that I can make money, when we're not doing that, imagine what the downtime would be. I bet he would be so irritating. All right, so Jimmy Kimmel made some jokes. Melania yesterday was very upset by it. And then, of course, happy wife, happy life. Donald Trump then posted, I'm very upset too because you've upset the wife, and demanded that Disney fire Jimmy Kimmel. He must be fired. Oh, pearl clutching. Shut up. You went down this road a couple of months ago. All right. You tried to have him fired. You threatened Disney. Disney was like, okay, we're going to suspend him for a few days. And then they brought him back and they said, you know what? First Amendment, shut up. He's making jokes. He's a comedian. It's satire, you jerk. That's what Disney said. So now Trump's demanding it again just a few months later. He's got to be fired. He's got to be fired. Melania's like, oh, darling, do something. It's that kind of situation. Happy wife, happy life. So Trump's got to get involved. He's now got Brendan Carr involved. He's the FCC commissioner because they're not corrupt or anything. This isn't a punitive use of some power that he probably can't even do legally, but we're going to do it anyway because we're through the looking glass, Alice. Nothing matters anymore. Brendan Carr, the FCC chairman, after Disney refused to fire Jimmy Kimmel yesterday and instead allowed Jimmy Kimmel to go on and do his show and rebuke what the president and the first lady said. Disney allowed that last night. So in response to that, this morning, Brendan Carr's involved. And oh my God, Brendan Carr is pulling all of the renewal applications for every ABC Disney affiliate in America. Never been done before. That's not something that happens with the FCC. When you renew your license to broadcast as a user of the public airwaves, you are giving an 8-year contract. Disney and all of their owned, operated local stations, which often appear as ABC stations on the dial, they've all got like 5 years left before they need to renew. They could wait out this president. But, Brendan Carr, who's a criminal, who will also go to jail for some of the things that he's done. Brendan Carr, the FCC chairman, he's pulling the license renewal. So he's going to put all the stations up for renewal. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because it's obviously, punitive and retaliatory and something that the president of the United States should not be doing or even concerning himself with. But what the hell? Here's where we are. So it'll be knocked down in every fucking court or every judge that has to oversee this. It'll get knocked down immediately, and it's stupid, and it's obviously a tantrum being thrown by a silver spoon rich kid. So anyway, here's how that was reported. This is this morning? Yeah, is this how it was reported this morning? And they're also, I think, going to give us Jimmy Kimmel's response. What is this from? All right. Yeah, this is going to be CNN from this morning reporting the new news about Brendan
At the
Carr.
University of Redlands, you won't just prepare for your...
Hold on. I'm sorry about that. Oh, great. It's one of them ads here on Mediaite that when the skip ad pops up, it doesn't do anything. Doesn't let you skip the ad. Doesn't give a shit. All right. All right. Ad ends at, all right, come on. Let's see. Skip ad. Skip ad doesn't work. All right, here we go. This is how CNN reported it. And we're also going to see Jimmy Kimmel's response last night. And then we're going to talk a little bit about it. Here we go.
We are now learning the FCC is preparing to get involved to challenge ABC station licenses amid the controversy over Jimmy Kimmel. This comes as the late-night host is not backing down after a recent joke at the White House again, calling on ABC to fire him and issue
By the way,
licenses.
I always like to point this out. Let me just, for those of you, because we sometimes, well, yesterday I referenced her mother. This is Pamela Brown of CNN. Her mother was Phyllis George. Her mother was the very first female NFL correspondent. We mentioned Phyllis George yesterday when we were talking about Diana Rossini, and I was making the comparison that, the very first person who was, an NFL female reporter was a reigning Miss America. And it was the only reason that she was chosen. She didn't know football. She didn't know anything. Phyllis George was just trotted out because the league said, well, I guess we got to include women. May as well make them hot, right? That was the attitude. So when we were comparing that to the Diana Rossini situation and why so many young women in sports are angry at Diana Rossini, it's because they have come so far from just legitimately, no excuses, offering a sex pot in Phyllis George, with no football knowledge, to the truly gifted female football journalists who are out there, of whom Diana Rossini was always considered one of the tops. Well, she has betrayed that. And anyway, not for nothing, here is the daughter of the very first female football sports person. This is Pamela Brown, daughter of Phyllis George.
Amid the controversy over Jimmy Kimmel. This comes as the late-night host is not backing down after a recent joke at the White House again, calling on ABC to fire him, including the First Lady. Kimmel joked on his show before the Correspondents' Center shooting that First Lady Melania Trump glowed like an expectant widow. After a suspect opened fire on Saturday's event, Trump and his allies criticized the quip as a call for violence. But here's how Kimmel responded last night.
Obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not by any stretch of the definition a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend is pretty stressful in that house. And also, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it. I also should point out, Donald Trump is allowed to say whatever he wants to say, as are you, and as am I, as are all of us, because under the First Amendment, we have, as Americans, a right to free speech.
All right, let's go live now to CNN Chief Media Analyst Brian Stelter for more.
All right, so let me just say, first of all, about Jimmy Kimmel and his response yesterday. It'll be another one of these super highly rated episodes because all of us were tuning in specifically to see if he would, one, be there. Like, were they going to? Well, actually, we weren't tuning in for that because we knew by 8 o'clock Central Standard Time that we knew that ABC was recording a Jimmy Kimmel Live and that he was going to be responding to this. They had put that out in a press release. So we knew. But I think maybe the drama was that, would the locals all air it, or would there be any sort of, last minute Disney going, all right, we're just going to go to a repeat or whatever. I don't know. Well, so anyway, Jimmy Kimmel came out, and good for him. Good for him, good for satire, good for public discourse. He didn't back down at all. That's a man who showed up, who understood that he had the full weight and strength of Disney behind him. Disney obviously made it clear to him before he went out there that, you know what? We did this once before with this guy, and we suspended you for a week, and we lost some money because the advertisers all pulled and blah, blah, blah. But then we brought you back and your ratings went up and everything was good and the money's still pouring in. Jimmy, go on out there. Go on out there and do your thing. We are not going to back down from this guy. And I bet you that Disney said something like this to Jimmy. Jimmy, look, this guy has 28% approval in this country. We're fucking Disney, okay? We're not afraid of him anymore. He can't do anything to us. 28% approval rating. People are pissed at him. Half the people think he's a pedophile. The other half think that he's in the pocket of the Israelis. We, Disney, are not afraid of MAGA backlash anymore. And that's what that was last night. Thank God. Disney ain't afraid. Disney ain't looking to merge with Paramount, Skydance, or any of these other things that we're seeing media entities kowtow to this administration for. Please, Trump administration, back our merger play. So they do whatever they want. Disney doesn't need that. Disney's bigger than all of them. Disney owns Marvel and Star. No, they own Marvel. Do they own Marvel? Yeah, Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars. Please. Who owns Harry Potter? I think that's HBO. I think Max or whatever. Point is this, Disney ain't afraid, and that's great. So the retaliation for last night, right? This is all tit for tat. Remembering, of course, that this is a manufactured scandal. Jimmy Kimmel made these comments a week before the events of Saturday. Jimmy Kimmel wasn't commenting on the attempt on Trump's life. He was commenting on, very believably, what he said. He's an 80-something-year-old, 80, whatever. He's an 80-something-year-old guy, and she's like 53, okay? It's not a stretch, especially when you're doing a roast-style thing, which is what that bit was, again, a week before the events of Saturday. When you're doing a sketch bit like that, that's pretty boilerplate. When an old guy's married to a young woman, you pretend like you can't wait to be a widow. But the Trump administration, because they are so fucking duplicitous, they spun it. They didn't care. They didn't let everybody know that this happened long before the events. They put it out there and blasted it to their people, giving the impression that this was something that Jimmy Kimmel did after the event. They knew the context, but they were banking on the fact that the people that drink their Kool-Aid don't know the context, because they're banking on the fact, once again, that the people that just relentlessly support them are stupid. They don't respect you. They lie to you. They pearl clutch. And that's what this is about. So Trump wakes up this morning and he gets Brendan Carr on the phone, and Brendan Carr decides that he is going to start a renewal process for all of the Disney-held owned operated stations around the country, which is, absurd, illegal, obviously corrupt, totally punitive, retaliatory, whatever. But we'll see how this goes. Here's Brian Stelter breaking that news this morning.
For Insight, Brian, you have this new reporting about the FCC's involvement. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right. Disney is standing by Jimmy Kimmel. Disney is ignoring the president's pressure to fire him. And that's important to point out first. We have seen some big examples of media company capitulation in the last year and a half.
Yeah, and Disney's like, we got cruise ships, we got theme parks. We're not going to kowtow to this guy because our numbers tell us that only 28% of the people on our fucking boats like this guy. Our numbers tell us that only 28% of the people going to Disney World and Disneyland like this guy. And that the other, what would that be? Quick math. What was that? 72. The other 72 are going to be pissed at us if it appears that we're kowtowing. So we're Disney. We're going to stand by our guy. We're going to do what's right. It was fucking satire, and that's enough. And that's basically what this dude here, Brian Stelter, he looks like a thumb.
And this is not one of those examples. My sense is that Disney is prepared to defend itself if need be and sees this as a First Amendment fight that is worth having. But it might be a lengthy fight. That's because the Trump-aligned FCC is planning to take action against ABC as soon as this afternoon. I'm told by a source familiar with the matter that, quote, the FCC is preparing to call in all of the TV station licenses for ABC Disney for early renewal. Now, Semaphore was first to report this development. My source says the paperwork is about to be filed. So this would be widely viewed as an act of retaliation for airing Kimmel's show and resisting Trump's pressure. It's important to say here, station licensees have broad...
How dare you resist the whims of a politician?
...legal protection. ABC, if it chooses to fight, will likely win. The FCC has not issued one of these early renewal orders in decades, until yesterday when it randomly ordered one against a small station owner. So in the case of Disney, these station licenses come up for renewal every 8 years, and they're not due to be renewed for a couple more years. But FCC Chairman Brendan Carr wants to challenge Disney. He wants to order those renewals in and start a process now. And it does start a lengthy legal process. There will be plenty of chances for Disney to defend itself. And like I said, ABC will probably prevail in court. But stations have to be willing to defend themselves, and that costs time and that costs money. So, Pam, Wolf, it reminds me of that old book title, The Process is the Punishment.
And Brian, just a reminder.
The process is, yeah. So, I mean, this is what they do. These are the rich people do this all the time, nuisance lawsuits. Where they're like, well, I know we don't have a legal ground to stand on, but I keep attorneys on retainer, so we're going to sue you, which won't amount to anything for us, but you're going to have to go out and buy an attorney, pay an attorney, and I know that then there's going to be court fees, and then we'll just keep pushing, because again, we keep our attorneys on retainer. They can fuck with you every day. That's what that's about, and that's what these rich guys do. So, all right. Jimmy Kimmel and Donald Trump are fighting again. Oh, let's see. Oh, here, this is interesting. So, of course, one of the more curious friendships there in Hollywood is the friendship between Jimmy Kimmel, who is a well-known anti-MAGA Trump slasher, right? Well, we just did a whole story about how Trump hates Jimmy Kimmel. Well, Jimmy Kimmel's best friend is Adam Carolla, and Adam Carolla is MAGA. How's that work? You know how it works? Because they're normal people. It's how I'm still friends with people in my life who are MAGA. We're normal people. This would be like me cutting someone out of my life simply because we have different political views on how this country can thrive. And by the way, we all have that. We all want the country to thrive. We just have a little bit of a disparaging way of, going about it. If I were to cut all of those people, that's stupid. It'd be like cutting people out of my life because they like the Cubs, right? Oh, I'm a White Sox fan. You're a Cubs fan. You're obviously evil. Stupid. So obviously Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla have figured out a way to not really let that affect their friendship. So Adam Carolla yesterday on his podcast, he addressed the situation concerning his friend Jimmy Kimmel and the politician that he seems to support, Donald Trump.
They did it again.
Let's give this a listen.
Politicians made bad policy. Secretly
is this from the Adam Carolla podcast?
Now, Springfield politicians.
Oh my God, they're going to
made a bad policy.
Hold on.
Secretly tucked into the budget. A federal judge acknowledged this mistake could harm hometown banks and credit unions.
So watch, hit skip. Oh,
all right, ready to move on?
All right, so here we go. This comes from the Adam Carolla podcast from yesterday. This is Adam Carolla responding to the Jimmy Kimmel, Melania Trump, Donald Trump, Disney, blah, 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 dust up. Here we go. Again, this is from a MAGA guy.
Yeah.
Who also happens to be Jimmy Kimmel's friend.
Next story, kind of related though. So your buddy, Jimmy Kimmel. Last week during Thursday's episode of the Jimmy Kimmel Live Show, the host parodied the White House Correspondents' Dinner in advance and delivered his own alternative comedy monologue as the event's MC. And among the gags, Kimmel joked that Melania had, quote, the glow of an expectant widow. Let's play that video.
We'll figure that out. Yeah, I got a little different take on this. So, I mean, you can put a different take on this.
I think we might agree on this. Donald Trump has waded into the controversy surrounding this resurfaced video from a few days ago about the joke about the First Lady. Melania actually tweeted earlier today that Kimmel's broadcaster, ABC, needed to, quote unquote, take a stand in a Monday morning tweet. And Donald targeted the comedian in a statement of his own about it being a really shocking joke.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
They did it again. Springfield politicians.
Are you kidding me?
Secretly tucked into the budget.
Okay, this is another reason to just use YouTube.
All right, so I'll approach this from a comedic standpoint.
Oh, hold on, we'll back that up just a little bit for you.
The comedian in a statement of his own about it being a really shocking joke.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
All right, so I'll approach this from a comedic standpoint. couple things. One is when you make a joke and then nothing happens, like there was no shooting. No one made a thing about it before the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's kind of a thing where you go like, oh, that Alicia Krause, I hate that bitch. I hope she dies. And then 2 days later, you get in a car crash and you die. And then everyone looks at me and goes, no, I'm angry at you and me. But I'm like, but if she never got in a car crash, you never said anything. Like this thing happened, then the joke happened before. So A, it's unrelated. B, I mean, to be fair, now people do this one too. They go, it's not like he wrote that joke, but he said that joke. But he didn't write that joke. Somebody wrote that joke and he said it because he thought it was funny. But that's a pretty typical roast joke.
My perspective when my husband and I saw this.
And also, sorry, it is also a trope. Any younger, beautiful woman who's married to an older guy, especially if the guy's rumored to be sort of a douchey, you would make that joke at any roast.
And or rich. Like a younger woman. My perspective was, oh, she's an attractive woman that is significantly younger than him, that married him for his fame and fortune. So whenever he dies, whether he was president or not, like,
you would make that joke.
You could make that joke about Lauren Sanchez marrying Jeff Bezos, even though they're more similar in age. It's like, well, she's waiting for her cash out, right?
If Trump was at a roast on Thursday, you would do that joke if he was still
to his face.
Well, if he'd never been president. You would do that joke. But I get it. But here's the problem. Once there's a lot of sewage under the bridge, then the pump is already primed.
And I think that's people's perspective. I mean, our friends Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin were playing clips on their show about other jokes that he's made about Stephen Miller and about other members of the administration. And I think that sometimes people they develop that case
we don't need
based
to
on
go
other
any
things that he has said
further into that.
Effect.
That was interesting because this is something that a lot of us have to deal with. We have people that we love in our lives, people who are our friends, people we care so much for, and then they just believe and think and say things that make us go, oof, really? Oof. We got to get past that. Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla. Well, also, I would, in defense of Jimmy Kimmel, and oh, what a surprise, I'm taking Kimmel's side. Everything that Adam Carolla just said there is true. Those are just boilerplate jokes. They occurred. The joke about Melania wanting to be a widow occurred long before the events of Saturday. And the idea that the White House then tried to cherry pick this Jimmy Kimmel joke from a week ago and say that he was somehow being insensitive to this, it's just nonsense. And it's just another example of the duplicitous nature of this fucking administration that I just can't get past. Stop it. It's unrelated. And again, you're supposed to be the tough guys. You know, everybody's pearl clutching. Oh, get the FCC involved. Probably inspired by the king. He sees the king. He's hanging around with the king. He's looking at the way people treat the king. He's impressed. He's going to behave kingly. What else do we have here? Oh, so I want to talk a little bit here now about the events of Saturday night. We're gonna go into some other things too today. I've got a whole list. The big segment that I want to dive into is this argument that is going on, and it's an absurd argument between right and left about political violence. We're going to go through a list of things, examples of political violence, and we'll decide, what side gets credit or what side, and then we'll do a true accounting, and we'll figure out exactly if, as the White House said yesterday, political violence is the exclusive domain of the libtard left. Oh, they're involved. But man, I think you'll be surprised when we go through the list and we see how mixed it is, how mixed it truly is. Political violence in this country is a problem, and we don't find ourselves on the road to solving that problem if we are looking to blame one another first. Just acknowledge, let's unify and acknowledge that it's a problem and move forward instead of saying it's a problem because of you. Just stop it. So we're going to go through that. We're going to go through the different examples. And by the way, we're not going to do race stuff because I was doing this last night, and I put this together last night during the White Sox rain delay. And there are so many examples of people who are just racists, and I am not going to ascribe these people to one political party. I'm just going to chalk them up to being brain dead racists, okay? But we're going to go through that. That's going to be our big thing. But first, I want to talk about the Secret Service and what exactly went down on Saturday, because yesterday, and this is how you know I'm an honest broker, authenticity, very important, stand on principle, all that stuff. Yesterday, I defended the Secret Service. Yesterday, I was angry. Yesterday, I was upset at some of the people who were saying things about 3 times someone tried to kill this guy. What's the Secret Service doing? To which I was like, well, he's alive, so the Secret Service ultimately is doing their job. But secondly, how are you going to blame the Secret Service for crazy people trying to kill the president? That's not their doing. That's just crazy people. We have a Secret Service because we never know when a crazy person is going to try and kill the president. So this whole idea that, an indictment against the Secret Service is that there have been 3 attempts on Trump's life. None of them have been successful. This idea that that's somehow a negative, I don't get it. Oh, the brain scramblies. Again, that's a social network narrative. And social network is all about giving you the brain scramblies by presenting things that seem like they make sense. And then you read them and you're like, it doesn't really make sense. So that's one of them deals. 3rd time they've tried to kill Trump. Fire everybody in the Secret Service. Like, that was definitely trending. And yesterday, Monday, I came on here. I'm like, you guys stop it. Nobody got hurt on Saturday. The checkpoint did its job, right? So that was my take yesterday. Well, 24 hours later, doing a lot more reading. Holy shit. Now, I don't know that it's necessarily the fault of the Secret Service, but certainly somebody involved in the planning of how we protect the president, and not only the president, the entire cabinet. How we do this when they're out in public spots like the Hilton. My God, it seems like it wasn't good. Here's what it looks like to me. Here's my big shocking statement, okay? Because we don't know this yet. Here's my big shocking statement. I'm not sure that dude fired. I'm not sure that dude ever fired his gun. I think it's a very real possibility that the Secret Service agent who bravely took a bullet in the course, I think that could have been friendly fire, and I'm not alone. Like a lot of people. First of all, the only video that we have there is that really grainy video where what we see is the guy, what's his name? Colin Hale, whatever. It's kind of like a soap. Cole Allen, that's it. The video where we see a very grainy, again, right? Every Ring doorbell in America is like crystal clear HD, pure definition. You could see a zit on the eyeball of somebody coming to your door, right? Those are great. For some reason, all of our security cameras on this planet are shit, are garbage. So that's all we got is Cole Allen running through a checkpoint, not firing. He's not firing. The entire time that we see him running, he is running balls out like he is trying to reach the ballroom before he starts to fire. What we do see is the response from the Secret Service, who all pull their guns, and then they shot themselves. I think the Secret Service shot themselves. I don't believe this guy fired a gun. I don't believe he ever got the opportunity to fire his gun. I think he was trying to crash through into the ballroom before he started firing. He wasn't interested by his own manifesto in shooting anybody outside the ballroom. So I think they shot their own guy. I think he just bum rushed the whole checkpoint and they pulled their guns and shot him. And missed. They all missed. He wasn't shot. A Secret Service agent was shot, but he wasn't. And now eyewitnesses are saying that the only reason that he went down was because he tripped. He got his forward momentum going too much, trying to dodge bullets, and he actually tripped and fell. And that's when they caught him. So the Secret Service let an armed guy, we're told that he had a shotgun, a handgun, and a knife. So the Secret Service, this is now a couple of days later, me being able to look at it. The Secret Service apparently let this guy with guns run past them like he was doing a 40 at the combine. They fired 4, 5, 6 shots at him, whatever. Missed everyone. He was not hit. He was not hit. Another Secret Service agent was hit, right? And now it looks like maybe the only reason that they stopped him from going to the ballroom is because he tripped and fell while running at that insane rate of speed. We do not see him firing in that video. Now, maybe you'll say, and he's firing. You just can't see it because the quality is so. We'll fix the quality situation with closed circuit television video surveillance. Can we? Can we? I don't think that guy fired one shot. You're asking me to believe that the image of the guy running, again, like he's running a 40 at the combine, you're asking me to believe that that guy, while running all out, was also pulling a gun and going ba-bam, ba-bam, like he's some kind of fucking action hero. We don't see that on the CCTV, but again, it's shitty quality. And maybe if it was better quality, we would see that he was just running balls out, trying to make it to the ballroom entrance, at which point he would start shooting. He wasn't shot. We know that the Secret Service unloaded bullets in that hallway. And we know that the only person that was shot was another Secret Service agent. We do not know that Cole Allen fired a shot. And I don't think he did, man. Just based on what I've seen, I don't think he did. Again, I think he just ran through the checkpoint. I think they all drew their weapons instinctively. They all started firing. They shot one of their own. And while he was trying to dodge bullets, he tripped and fell, which is completely believable. At which point they jumped on him and it was all game over. But I believe that his intention was to run. You running that fast. He sees the entrance to the ballroom. He's probably a good 50 yards away. And he goes, motherfucker, I'm running. I'm going for it. I don't believe he was shooting at that point. I don't believe it. So, obviously we'll find out more, I'm sure. Not under this administration, but in a couple of years, I'm sure that there will be. Why were there no magnetometers? Is that what they're called? Magnetometers? Those gun. Why were there no airport security type things? We know that the Secret Service has those. They've used them before whenever they do these MAGA rallies and stuff. Why were there no magnetometers at the Hilton? They had the president, the vice president, the entire cabinet, the Speaker of the House. I mean, my God, how far deep in the line of succession do we need to get? Everybody was there. Was there a designated survivor? I don't even know. I mean, that's probably how they should have looked at that night. And you're telling me that they didn't have magnetometers? That is insane. Here, listen to this. Now, this is probably the most damning thing that you're going to hear. This is hot mic. This is caught off mic. This is just somebody talking. This is before the event. This is before the shooting. This is before everything. This was just like, an hour before the event. I think the red carpet has just ended. And this is a local Fox News reporter. This is Fox 5. I think that's Washington, D.C. This is a local Fox News reporter. Again, not on camera. His cameraman is running, though. His cameraman has just got it filming and everything. And he's just passing the time, just talking to his cameraman. Listen to what this Fox News reporter had to say before the events of Saturday night.
I love that they have like two random chicks holding the front door open.
They have like two random chicks holding the front door open. Where's the guys? We're not even trying anymore. He's talking about the security.
We're not even trying anymore. It's not even like, I just mean like they're not even like Secret Service people. It's like the girls who work here are holding the door.
It's not even Secret Service people. It's just girls who work here who are holding the doors.
Even if it was the guys, it wouldn't even make it better. It's like she's fucking just like they might as well put a doorstop in. They put up a doorstop and a scarecrow.
This is an off-duty reporter who's been to a lot of these things, who has seen a lot of these things, just talking to his buddy going, my God, can you believe the lack of security here? Why don't they just put a doorstop in and hold the door open? He even said a scarecrow. Because why don't they at least set up a scarecrow? Apparently, Secret Service wasn't doing anything. And it was to the extent where people who are accustomed to these kinds of things were noticing a drastic difference in the way security was. Now, I know that doesn't do much to tamp down all the crazy conspiracy theorists out there, but it is a fact as it seems to be playing out in real life. Conspiracy theory or not, security is noticeably less than it should be, at least according to one reporter who attends these kinds of things.
Don't fuck with this guy.
Let's listen one more time.
I love that they have like two random chicks holding the front door open.
How is it that they have like two random chicks holding the front door open? Where are the guys? We're not even trying anymore.
We're not even trying anymore. It's not even, I just mean like they're not even like Secret Service people. It's like the girls who work.
All right, so it's wrong. The closed captioning got it wrong. It said terrible people. But what he's saying is, you can hear it. I've got headphones. He's saying, and it's not even Secret Service people, right? But the closed captioning says, and it's not even terrible people. But what he's actually saying is the people holding the doors open are not even Secret Service. They're just girls who work here.
It's not even like, I just mean like they're not even like Secret Service people. It's like the girls who work here are holding the door. Even if it was the guys, it wouldn't even make it better. It's like it's fucking just like they might as well put a doorstop in. Right? They put up a doorstop and a scarecrow. Don't fuck with this guy.
Wow. All right. So again, I stand corrected. New information. I'm allowed to change my opinion. Yesterday, I was saying that maybe we ought to leave the Secret Service alone. But now, I mean, it really is starting to look like there were some. We got the king. Was that it? Were they all prepping? Did people get the weekend off because they knew it would be a long week because the king was coming to town and the Secret Service is spread thin? I don't know. But man, I mean, it is just weird that you have the events. You have a guy that, again, I think he was trying to bum rush the ballroom. I don't believe he was shooting in the hallway. I believe that he was trying to get through that 50-yard stretch of hotel hallway as quickly as possible. Again, the 40 time, which we see on the closed circuit television, which should be better, but it's not for some reason. Maddie's in the chat room. Maddie says there were magnetometers. You can't see them in the clip of Erica Kirk when she was leaving. She was alking back through them. Yeah, I don't think there were enough magnetometers then because, I mean, I know the clip that you're talking about, the Erica Kirk one, but I've just heard enough other people go on TV and say, yeah, they didn't have magnetometers. So maybe they had some, but maybe not enough. Maybe they didn't have them set up in the right places. I mean, I don't know. If you've got to go through a magnetometer to leave, let's hope you're also going through one to enter, but whatever it was. Barney, he says, Barney's in the chat room. He says, didn't even appear to be as much as a velvet rope. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a questionable situation, man. And don't let people pollute you. Just look at the facts. I'm not trying to pollute you with any kind of, ideological mistreatment. I'm not trying to, mislead you. But it is weird, right? I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know what it means. All right. Hold on. I'm looking for something here. Give me a second. Okay, we did the Corolla, we did the Disney. Okay, we did. I lost my spot. I don't know where I am right now. All right, that's the random guy. All right, here. All right, we'll do this. Check this out. All right, this was interesting. Now, this is something that was going around on Twitter, and again, this was being pushed by right-wing Twitter because they must hate. We must hate everything about society. All right, let me show you something. This is from Saturday night. This is a static shot from the C-SPAN camera. What we are seeing here is the entire dais. The entire, there's a room full of people with tables, but then there's a dais, like the wedding table that's up on top. That's where Trump is. So we are getting a static shot from the back of the room from the C-SPAN camera of the entirety of the dais. So we get to see the action as the Secret Service spring to the stage here. All right, I'm gonna kill that. I don't need the creepy music. But there are some, there are conspiracy theorists and people out there who are trying to use this video as evidence that something was up and people knew. You see the arrow? All right, so that is somebody who's up on the dais. This is the White House Correspondents' Dinner. This is an organization for journalists and reporters and people covering the news and all that good stuff. And if you're sitting up there on the dais with the president and the vice president and all of these fancy people, you're probably somebody who is legitimately up there at the top of the journalistic game. So this dude right here, they're trying to show us this dude. See him right here? Watch what happens as the Secret Service. All right. I think the shots are gang. Well, maybe not yet. Oh, no. Okay, so this is actually good without the sound. See, there's no sound because whoever made this video use some music, like it's just too irritating. But okay, so you can see actually, I guess when the shots occur, because these people right here closest, there is some kind of commotion. See right there, that's where the shots occur. Look at these people react. Watch this. Wow. Okay, so that's where the shots occur. This is where they all hear it. Now look, they're kind of running. Now look, now we've got the Secret Service here. All right, now we're paying attention to this guy because this guy they're trying to say, it's conspiracy theory. They knew it was going to happen. This is how they got the video. They were ready. Watch this. All right, see what he's doing? All right, everybody else is running. The Secret Service is going to evacuate people now. And what does this guy do? He reaches for his phone. An obvious indication that this guy is in on it. Incidentally, too, the video that we saw, the really close-up video of J.D. Vance being evacuated, and all the video of Stephen Miller and his wife and all that stuff. Yeah, that's this guy. That's this guy. The only reason we have those videos is because of this guy. This is the guy who whipped out his phone. He's being framed as this is an obvious example of how this was all the fix was in or whatever. So let's watch him. See, look, everybody's scrambling. There he is. He gets JD. He's filming. He's getting it all. These are all the videos that we've seen. You can see them. It's very exciting. He's not even moving. He doesn't even care. He's just filming. He's obviously in on it. All right. So I just wanted to show you guys that. It's not obvious that he's in on it. What's obvious is that he is an elite level journalist, and this is a journalistic instinct. And anybody who is trying to say, oh, why is the important guy up there? Why does he feel he needs to come? Because he's a journalist, and this is what you do. This is what I would do. I would whip out my phone and start recording, and I don't even consider myself a journalist. This dude is on the dais at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I applaud him. He is not an indication that the fix was in. He's just a real live journalist. And this is what they do. Watch his he immediately goes up, gonna have to document this. All right. He hears the shots. We're looking at him. He's looking around. Now he's got his phone. Boom. And he's recording. That is apex level news gathering. Look at him. All right, there you go. That dude is not an example of how it was fixed. That guy is a journalist, and that's what journalists do. I'm surprised there ain't more video. I'm surprised more of these people didn't whip out their phones and give us those things, because honestly, the best video that we have seen came from that guy. The closest video that we've seen came from that guy. He was the only guy up there that knew to pull his in a dais filled with so-called journalists. He was the only one who knew how to behave properly. Here, I want to show one more thing here. I thought it was pretty good. Let me find it. And then I need to take a really quick break because I got to go to the bathroom. Hold on. Well, maybe I'll do this after the break. I wanted to play something and I can't find it. You know what? It'll be in my history. It sure will. That's how you do it. Hold on. Give me a second. I have to focus on this. Now, you know what? Maybe we'll just do this. Why waste time like this? I'm going to take my quick break. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. We're going to come back. We got more stuff to do. We're going to talk about the acts of political violence that have plagued this country over the last 10 years. We're not going to ascribe blame so much, but we are going to try and have a conversation about how it is all of us. This is all of us. So stay tuned for that. Also, we got some other fun videos that we're going to watch. I'm going to show you 2 examples of men. All right. One is how a man should react, and the other is how a man should never react. We'll do that as well. What else do we have? We got a bunch of stuff. Just let me take a quick break, refill my coffee, go to the bathroom, and we'll be back after this. All right, here we go. We're back. Nice. Very nice. I know, back a little bit longer than I promised. I do apologize. Welcome back to the show live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. We've got more to get into. Current events and hot topics for the working class, normal type. Before I went to that break, I was struggling to find a clip that I wanted to play for you. And it goes back to before the break, I was sort of re-examining my take from Monday on how the Secret Service behaved on Saturday at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I have a different take on Tuesday than I did on Monday. So I wanted to follow in that with something that I talked about yesterday. I told you about how Barney in the chat room, our boy Barney and I got a little sideways. Not really, but, in Twitter sideways. I posted something and he responded with, "You're better than that." Now, what I posted was that still frame of Stephen Miller and Katie Miller, his pregnant wife, during the evacuation of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There was a photo taken that certainly did look as if Stephen Miller was using his pregnant wife as a human shield. And I retweeted it and I put, "This is how GOP men protect their wives." To which Barney responded, "You're better than that." To which I responded, "I am not." Point is this, I knew exactly what I was doing, because then you'd be surprised on Monday when, after posting that on Sunday or Saturday, on Monday, I come in and I say that wasn't the case at all. Stephen Miller, that picture was taken out of context. And that's just truth. Now we can break down the situation concerning RFK Jr. and his wife, Cheryl Hines, the actress from Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's been a lot of discussion online about whether or not these men acted appropriately or not. But, I think that today there are some more questions about the RFK and Cheryl Hines thing. I think that yesterday I told you that I don't believe RFK Jr. had any say in the matter. I think that he was just picked up by Secret Service and swooped out as a member of the cabinet. I don't know that the Secret Service prioritizes the spouses of cabinet people. You're a Secret Service member. You pledge yourself to give your life in protection of the president and the Constitution and all of these institutions there, the cabinet in this place, in this particular situation. I don't know that you pledge your life to their spouses, right? I don't know that that's... So there was some conversation about whether or not RFK Jr. did the right thing. I don't know. I'm going to let future President Jon Stewart explain it. Jon Stewart had a take on this, and it's so awesome to have him back, even though it's, briefly on the Today Show. And I jokingly call him President Jon Stewart, but not jokingly. Because look, if the rest of you don't get your heads out of your asses and we decide that we're just going to play this game now, that this is just what we're doing, most popular celebrity wins, Jon Stewart's going to be president. Because this dude has been nothing but consistently decent for 25 years. Whether you think he's a Republican or a Democrat, nobody thinks he's a Republican, let's be honest. Whether you think he's a bit of a Hollywood liberal, which is what most people do, you cannot take away the fact that he has dedicated the last 20 years of his life to the 9/11 victims. Not the victims in the plane and in the towers, but to the actual people who are now suffering from cancers and all of these things because the government, our government, as we often do, just kind of took the glory in the moment and said that we were going to take care of all these people and just keep digging for bodies, boys. Your country's going to take care of you if anything goes wrong. Well, we didn't. We said that in the moment, but then we didn't take care of these people. We started having all of these cases of, lymphomas and cancers, and people were dying left and right. And it was Jon Stewart who quietly, and I say this quietly because he didn't make a big deal about it. Other people made a big deal about it. He walked away from the Daily Show and essentially worked full time for these people, bringing their plight to the attention of our government. And he got things done. So whatever you think about Jon Stewart, when the rubber hit the road and when he walked away from his big famous TV show that made him famous, what did he do? He did nothing but work for those people. And if that doesn't count for something with you, then there's something wrong with you. You can see that, right? That if that doesn't mean something more than what, some of these other people who you're listening to are actually doing when the rubber hits the road. Jon Stewart walked away from the Daily Show. We all thought he was going to go do movies and shit. He made one movie. You know what he did? He started a rescue for a bunch of animals and worked relentlessly for 9/11 victims. That's what he did. And now he's back. And you know what? If we're doing the, hey, let's make a popular celebrity president thing that we appear to be doing, President Jon Stewart. That's what I say. He'll get my vote. Here. This was him, though. This I thought was really good. This is Jon Stewart's take on everybody criticizing, the way these MAGA men supposedly defended their women when the bullets started to fire. Here's Jon Stewart. This is from last night. Beating her to the escape pod. Now, I don't know. Like I said yesterday about the RFK Jr. situation, as a cabinet level secretary, I don't know that he had much say so when the Secret Service physically picks you up and moves him, as we've seen. So, could he have gone, hey, wait, maybe. Did he? No. But, he's also, and we're all paying attention to Erica Kirk and her, I just want to go home. Bitch, you ain't been home since your husband was shot. What are you talking about going home? Anyway, we're all talking about that. We're forgetting the fact that RFK, you forget what that K stands for? That's a Kennedy, okay? You know who his dad was. You know who his uncle was. So, maybe when shots ring out in a public place, a Kennedy is not thinking the way the rest of us do. So whatever, I'm willing to give RFK Jr. the benefit of the doubt on that, even though it does look funny. And Cheryl Hines is a celebrity, so that lends to the heat of the story. Because we all know who Cheryl Hines is, and couldn't we see this being something Larry would do on Curb Your Enthusiasm? Right? I mean, that's a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. But here's where I want to give President Jon Stewart credit. He recognized the truth about the Stephen Miller picture. He recognizes that just because there was one angle that some leftard radical was able to put out there, and I forwarded because I thought it was funny. This is how I didn't just forward. I actually wrote that. This is how GOP, but I didn't believe it. I was just having fun. I wanted this engagement. But isn't it nice that at least Jon Stewart can look at this as an honest broker and go, no, he was actually, if you watch the video, Stephen Miller was doing what a husband of a pregnant woman should do in this situation. He was shielding her. It's just that from the angle that still photo was taking was her exposed angle. So we, from our perspective of seeing that picture, think, well, this is where the shooter would be coming from. No. It's just a one-off still photo exposed angle. When you see it in fast motion, he is absolutely protecting his pregnant wife. So no matter what you think of Stephen Miller, and I do not think much, that was something that if you're being an honest broker, you have to give credit for. RFK Jr., again, I don't know. That just seems more like a Curb Your Enthusiasm sketch. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Now let's talk about the situation of political violence in this country, because I got home yesterday and man, I saw hot Amy Schumer there in the White House. She was going off about political violence, and she said, what was it that she said? Hold on. She said, it's political violence in this country is a quote. This is what was said from the podium there in the White House briefing room. Political violence in this country is a left-wing cult of hatred against America. Well, that sounds like some propaganda there from Baghdad Barbie, which is what she's being called now. Baghdad Barbie. I like that. Of course, Baghdad Bob, back during, for those of you old enough to remember the Persian Gulf War. Everything is fine, my friend. We are winning this war. Meanwhile, Baghdad was in flames behind him. So Baghdad Barbie, a.k.a. bangable Amy Schumer, she said political violence in this country is a cult of hatred against America. So what I wanted to do here is I thought, because, I'm like, left wing. I go, first of all, here's what I know for a fact about this guy. I know that he was raised by a Christian. I know that he was very heavily involved in his Christian church. He gave $25 to Kamala Harris, but I don't know that means he was a Kamala Harris supporter. We know that he hated Trump. We know he was an anti-Trump guy. So I just don't know how certain we are that this guy is when we say, the radical libtard left. I think he's just a mental patient, right? I think he's just a crazy guy. I think he's a super smart guy who falls victim to that narcissistic delusion that a lot of brilliant people do. They are used to being around the dumbest fucking people ever. That's actually the most dangerous person in America. The genius who never really fulfilled his promise. The genius who is like an assistant manager at a track auto store, who goes home and still lives at home, and his family is just a bunch of fucking morons, and he is just not. See, when a genius is able to sort of funnel their genius with other like-minded people, maybe they're a bit more stable. But I think when a genius has unfulfilled promise and they are forced to handle life with a bunch of morons, I think that causes problems. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with this guy, Cole Allen, because he was a Caltech guy. He worked in a school, although maybe, dealing with kids, that might have drove him over the edge. I really don't know that here we are 72 hours after the events. I don't know that we know exactly what this guy's motivations were, but what we can all agree on is that he's fucking nuts, right? Okay. So what is it that I always say about these nuts, these people who do these acts? I don't give a shit what their favorite color is. I don't give a shit what they buy on the Taco Bell value menu. I don't give a shit what baseball team they root for. I don't give a shit what political party they align with. I give a shit that they're fucking nuts. None of that matters because they're nuts, you see. So that's the way I look at these things. But if we're going to turn this into a war where some people are going to start going around believing that it's one side over the other, let's do the math. So what I did last night was I used 3 different AIs, not Grok. Didn't use Grok. You know why I didn't use Grok? I didn't use Grok because, they're going to make me pay for it. That's right. You can only use the Grok AI on Twitter if you are a blue check. And as I say, I just cannot bring myself. I cannot bring myself to bail the world's richest man out on a bad business deal. I can't do it. So I didn't use Grok. What I did use was I used Google AI. I used Microsoft, what is it called? Gemini? Is that it? Microsoft Gemini, and then ChatGPT. Okay. Cross-referencing all 3 of these disparate AI sources wasn't that difficult because they were all pretty much lockstep. They all pretty much gave me the exact same list. Now, here is what I asked. I asked all 3 of these AIs. I said, can you list examples of political violence in the United States since 2010? I thought about doing 2000. I thought about, this century, but we live in a very different world than we did in 2000. So I wanted to just encompass the whole post 9/11 MAGA era, rise of the Tea Party, the real separation, when we really started to separate, when we started to hate, when Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan first truly began, they were friends. When did that stop? When did it become a thing where you had to hate the other person? And so I settled on 2010, 16 years ago. If you got a problem with that, fuck you. But that's where I started, okay? 2010. So I asked these 3 separate AI systems to list the examples of political violence, regardless of party, and they all basically gave me the same thing. All right, so here's where we'll start. Now, again, I have to say that it returned a whole bunch of social examples of social violence. I'll tell you some things I didn't include. I didn't include the El Paso Walmart shooting, which AI said was political violence, but I didn't include it, even though that person was MAGA and he was doing this as his belief that he was enforcing immigration, that he went there to slaughter a bunch of dirty Mexicans. I didn't include that. That's racial and it's social. I also didn't include, what else didn't I include? I didn't include the Dallas, remember the Dallas police shooting, the guy with the robot? That was like somewhere, I don't know what that was. That was a crazy person. I didn't include that as political violence. What I tried to stick with are examples of politicians who have been targeted, right? So we got rid of all of the, the mass shootings that concerned people of, I don't know, except for one. We left one, and we'll go over that, and I'll explain why we left that one. Okay, so here you go. Examples of political violence in this country since 2010. In 2011, Representative Gabrielle Giffords, a gunman opened fire at a congresswoman at a Your Corner event in Tucson, Arizona, killing 6 people and critically wounding Democratic Representative Gabrielle Giffords. We know what that was. That was a crazy right-wing dude murdering a woman Democrat congresswoman, or attempting to murder. Murdered other people. One for the right. All right, there you go. There's one for the right. 2011. 2017, the congressional baseball shooting. A gunman targeting Republican lawmakers opened fire during a baseball practice, critically wounding House Majority Whip Steve Scalise. One for the left. The lefts. So there you go. 2011, Gabby Giffords. 2017, congressional baseball shooting. It is tied up. 2018, mail bombing attempts. A series of pipe bombs were mailed to prominent Democratic legislators and critics of then President Donald Trump by an avowed MAGA supporter. 2018, not a crazy lib, a stupid fucking Trump inbred freak decided to send bombs to a bunch of congressmen. Point for the right. 2-1, the right is leading in the political violence game. Let's fast forward to 2020. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. Authorities foiled a plot by members of a militia group to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Another point for the right. The right is pulling away. The right is pulling away. The right is up 3-1 right now as we head into the 2020s. January 6th, 2021. Yeah, I counted this one because they were erecting fucking nooses for members of Congress. January 6th. You people act like it didn't happen. That is a fucking disease unto itself. History is going to laugh at you freaks. That was a disgrace. There you go. So what is it now? It's now 1, 2, 3, 4-1. Political violence in favor of the right. Even though the White House announced yesterday that political violence was exclusively a libtard thing. 4-1. 2020. Oh, where's Byron? Where's my guy Byron? Byron had a good laugh at this. This wasn't important. You guys all had a good laugh at this. 2020. Fucking psycho right-wing conservative Trump dude broke into Paul Pelosi's house. Beat him with a hammer. Oh, you guys loved it. You guys fucking loved that, man. 5-1, right. 5-1. The White House again yesterday announced that this was all left-wingers. 5-1, okay? 2024, the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. President Donald Trump was targeted in 2 separate assassination attempts during his presidential campaign. We're going to count Butler. And then the other one where the guy that looks like Opie from Opie and Anthony, the guy looks just like Opie. The guy he was hiding in the bushes. I mean, we're not counting, but okay. Okay, because it's 5-1. So we got to make it fair. So now it's 5-3. The right. 5 examples of political violence against Democrats since 2010. It's 5-3. All right. Remember, the White House yesterday said that this is all coming from the left. All right. 2025, the assassination of Minnesota Representatives Melissa Hortman, Democratic Minnesota State Representative, and former House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed at their homes. Yeah, remember that one? 6-3. It's now 6-3. That was a crazy right-wing guy who was ginned up by all the bullshit to think that the Democratic state legislator that lived in their neighborhood was evil and must die. All right? Where are we? I got to do the count again. There's 1, 2. Okay, wait, I got to go all the way back up to the top. Gabrielle Giffords, 1 for the right. Congressional baseball shooting, 1 for the left, 1-1. Mail bombings, Democrats, that's 2 for the right. 2-1, right-wing political violence. Gretchen Whitmer, 2020, that's 3 to the right. Capitol attack on January 6th, that's 4 to the right. 2022, the attack on Paul Pelosi, that's 5 to the right. 2 assassination attempts on Trump. 2 to the left. 5-3 is the score. Assassination of Minnesota Rep. Melissa Hortman. 6-3 is the score. 2025, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk was assassinated, leading a surge in political tensions and reported attacks on related businesses. I'll give that to the left. 6-4. I'll give that to them, even though, this, I don't know. I think that's an inside job, man. If I'm being honest, I think that's an inside job, but we'll give it to the left. 6-4. 2025, the attack on the Michigan LDS Church by an avowed Trump supporter in response to the Gaza situation. 2025, attack at Michigan LDS Church, a shooting and arson attack at a Michigan church was carried out by a MAGA loyalist. 7-4. 2026, White House Correspondents' Dinner. A notable incident, political violence occurred during this high-profile event. What is that? I don't know. We'll give it to the Democrats. But as you see, I just wanted to point this out. Wow, this gaslighting, this endless fucking gaslighting from the people that we have elected to speak and represent us has got to stop. It is not a left-wing thing to start, political violence in this country. I just went through, again, I used 3 different AI sources. I used Gemini, I used Google AI, and I used ChatGPT, and they all gave me the exact same examples. Now, I threw out a whole bunch of mass shootings, but quite frankly, none of the people who did mass shootings were liberals except for a couple of trans weirdos, and that's just cherry-picking things. So we eliminated all of that shit because, again, crazy. And I also think that all the people that perpetrated the events that I just listed here were all fucking crazy, but at least we know that they were primarily motivated in their action by political thoughts. So just stop it. It's, it's honestly just this idea that the right can feel comfortable because their side is righteous and their side, it's so selective and it's such bullshit. Barney says, so a church shooting counts, but a guy killing cops at a BLM rally doesn't. Okay, there you go. They cancel each other out. Happy? There you go, Barney. There you go. No, they do. They do. The reason that the church thing counts is because it is super recent. It's just a couple of months ago, and we know without a doubt why he was doing it. This is the guy whose Facebook profile had a t-shirt where he said, I kill libtards. That's the guy who did that, Barney. So that's why. The other guy, the cop shooter, that's like, wasn't that more of a social thing? But I'll give it to you. You want to make the social aspects the same as just killing politicians. The social culture wars, fine. 1-to-1, Barney. No change. Give me more. Come on. Because for every fucking one of your trans church shooters, I'll give you a motherfucker with a Proud Boys vest who shot people at a mall. Okay? Stop it. We are talking about people, specifically, I want to talk about people who are either targeting politicians because of their political votes or somebody who is obviously motivated. And that's why I included the LDS guy. But you know what? Fuck them. You're right. Let's remove them. It changes nothing, Barney. Changes nothing. April says, seriously, Barney, he went to other Democrats' house to not just... Yeah. Oh, that guy? You had a problem with the Minnesota guy, too? Yeah, he shot another guy. He didn't die, so we don't count it. But, if that's the rule, then we ain't counting what happened on Saturday either, because ain't nobody died there, and I'm not even sure that was a real assassin. Well, I guess it was an attempt, but, I don't think he fired any bullets. This is just wrong. The Hortman attacker was personal, not political. He went to multiple people's houses, Barney. Where are you getting this fucking information? This is the problem. Barney's a smart guy. And yet in his head, he's like, well, I heard this from a guy in a suit. I think Benny Johnson mentioned it. These people are not fucking credible, man. Bad information. I didn't go all the way back to the Unabomber. Maddie's like, the Unabomber. I didn't go all the way back to the moon. I didn't know. It stopped it at 2010. Barney, they foiled a plot they created. I don't know what you're talking about, but I imagine it suits your purpose. So now you're just going to believe that. If it suits your purpose to think that it's a false flag, it's a false flag. If it doesn't suit your purpose, you can't look at anything like a normal person. Stop it. Fucking people. It's not an indictment against Republicans, although it is an indictment against Republicans because you motherfuckers went along. But it's not an indictment of classic Republican conservatism in America. It's an indictment of MAGA. And you know what? I think it is an indictment of conservatism in America because you people went along with it. And the people who stood up, you fucking put in boxes, were never to be seen again. Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, any number of people who just decided I'm a Republican and I can't take this anymore. I'm not even running for re-election. You ran off the people who stood up and said, this is wrong. You ran them off. So yeah, no, now we're going to have to deal with a bunch of far left people. This is what I warned you. We've got to stay as a country in the middle because the pendulum swings. And we have swung so far right over the last few years that you better look out. You think I'm kidding about calling it the Alex Preddy Ballroom? Whoever comes in next, President AOC or whatever, when the pendulum rights itself, because it will, we're going to go far left and you people would have done it. It's going to be nuts. Hopefully enough of us in the middle can grasp some control and keep them crazies in line, because I'm telling you, the right needs to be marginalized from now on. You people don't get a fucking voice anymore. You just bent over for this insane amount of corruption, and you did it because you don't like blue-haired lesbians. That's why you did it. You can't be trusted with serious things anymore. Nobody gives a fuck about lesbians. Just leave them alone. Yeah, nobody wants to hang out with lesbians. Why are you drawing attention to them? They're all very aggressive. Oh my God, look at Pugs going hard on lesbians. I'm in the middle. I'm a middle American. I'm a working class regular guy. I got no problem with the person who lives across the street as long as they keep their fucking yard up. That's it. When did we stop being this person? Oh, fuck. Sweet, sweet endorphin. Sweet dopamine. Feeling my eyeballs are floating in endorphins. Dopamines, whatever they are. Who needs drugs? Our bodies create the most magnificent drugs. All right, here's something. Here's another one. Let's keep going. How about this story? This warms my cockles. Hell's a cockle? What is a cockle? It ain't my balls, right? That's not what it is. I mean, that's what it sounds like when I say it, but it ain't my balls. What are cockles? AI. This is what AI is for. What's up, AI? Hey, can you tell me, when people say it warms my cockles, what are cockles? It's not my balls, is it? Remember, I always try and engage AI in a friendly manner because they're not going to forget. They're not going to forget. All right, I had to stop because the AI kept thinking they're not going to forget. All right, let's see. Cockles. Oh, thank you, AI. I like that AI is kind of fun. AI says, don't worry, it has absolutely nothing to do with your balls. When someone says something warms the cockles, they are talking about the ventricles of the heart. Look at that. AI. Fucking awesome. Do you know what AI did for me last night? I think I posted about this. AI... You ever have that problem? If you have I don't know, maybe it's mine. I've got such a stupid mind. Like my mind keeps me up at night because like I'll think about something stupid and then I'll be like, yeah, I wonder about that. And then I just will not be able to sleep until I figure it out. And you know, you can't because I'm not that smart. So I'm like, ugh. It's not a problem anymore. I had one of those things last night. I had one of those questions and I'm like, oh, fuck, this is going to keep me up all night. I'm going to be thinking about this. But no, AI. I asked AI. You know what that question was? Here was the question that would have, in lesser times, kept me up all night. But now because of AI, I got an answer that was sufficient and I went to sleep. My question was, hey, AI, can an airplane fly on Mars? Think about that. Like an airplane, not can an airplane fly to Mars? We know that can't happen. But if we're up there on Mars and we build a runway, I mean, can we fly an airplane from one? Because Mars is big, we're going to need an airplane to really explore it. So my question was, hey, AI, can an airplane fly on Mars? That was it. And I asked AI and it gave me an answer and I was like, cool, man. And I went right to sleep. AI is great. No, I'm not going to tell you the answer. You guys go ask AI yourself whether or not an airplane. Okay, I'll tell you the answer. The answer that AI gave me was that yes, technically an airplane could fly on Mars. However, not the kind of airplane that we think of. It would have to be a special Mars airplane that would first and foremost be electric powered because a combustion engine requires oxygen, and that wouldn't happen. There's no oxygen up there on Mars. So it would need to be an electric airplane, and it would have to have wings that were at least 5 times as large as wings on airplanes here, because although there is less gravity on Mars, there is also no atmosphere. So the wings have to be super big in order to catch the lift. Also, here's the other problem. It can be done, but is a problem. In order for an airplane on Mars to truly take off the way we take off here on Earth, it would have to reach a ground speed of about Mach 1. So it would have to break the sound barrier before it would ever be able to take off. So most likely planes, if we use them on Mars, they will be shot from cannons. It'll be like that kind of a thing. We'll do, and so that they'll have the speed. They won't have to, anyway. AI is pretty great. I ask AI all kinds of stupid questions. Like the one I just asked, cockles. What are cockles? So what does warm my cockles these days? The latest poll out of the Texas Senate race, well, that's what warms my cockles. It shows James Tallarico kicking the ass of both the prospective Republicans, and I love it. All right. Maybe not kicking the ass. But our good little Christian farm boy, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, our good little Christian engine that could, he's winning. He's winning in the latest state-run polls. It says here, the Texas Public Opinion Research Center came out Tuesday. They found that Democratic State Rep James Tallarico is currently leading 2 potential GOP general election opponents for the Senate race in Texas. Tallarico holds a 44 to 41% lead over incumbent John Cornyn and a 46 to 41 lead over Attorney General Ken Paxton, who was locked in a primary battle with Cornyn. Okay, so that's interesting because it shows here what we all kind of assumed, that Tallarico would fare much better against Ken Paxton than he would against Cornyn, but not so much better. I mean, he's 41 in this latest poll, 44 to 41 over Cornyn and 46 to 41 over Paxton. Is that enough to get Cornyn the primary win? I don't know. Yeah, man. Cornyn. See, I would rather have Tallarico run against Paxton because we want both of them standing next to each other. That's the comparison you want. Ken Paxton with his sleepy eye and his Hooters waitress girlfriend and, his wife that fucking hates his guts and all of his weird shit that he said. We want that up against the kid that's got no background. Fox News hasn't been giving him the AOC or the whatever treatment that they give these people, these new upstarts coming from the left or the center, which, by the way, he's pretty center. I know that because he's a Democrat, you have to paint him to the extreme, but he's pretty center. He is a Christian. I mean, there are just some things. The only thing that makes him what you think is a liberal is that he has this adherence to what he interprets as Jesus's view. He has an adherence to the teachings of Christ as he interprets them. And there are just a lot of Christians out there who thinks that Jesus should hate brown people. And he doesn't. Welcome the neighbor and all that. That's it. That's the liberal shit that they're trying to put on him. So let's get him against Paxton. The poll was conducted among 1,865 likely general election voters and carries a margin of error of 2.5%. T4 is a nonpartisan public opinion research group and conducted the survey from April 17th to April 20th. Democrats have not won a statewide race in Texas since 1994, despite several cycles where big-name candidates like Beto O'Rourke were touted as potential. Beto, that guy. Jesus, his name is like a pussy name, right? You can't. I'm the white guy who can get the Mexican vote. I resemble a Kennedy, not one of the weird ones, but I'm trying to. He was never going to be a real threat. That guy, Beto, just no. He represents that sweater-wearing substitute teacher, kind of vibe. No, not Beto. It's not the Tallarico's an alpha. Tallarico's just a good human being. He just presents as like a good human being. It's fucking Opie Cunningham. My God, you people can't see that? Anyway, there you go. Good news for people who hope that maybe Texas will be wrestled back into the hands of sane people. I know, what am I saying, right? Come on, Abbott's a lunatic, man. Abbott has experienced some kind of mental trauma. Dude, all right, here we go. One of my more provocative and controversial statements. I believe that people who have experienced great life-altering trauma never recover psychologically. I believe that there is always a psychological burden that somebody who has experienced the kind of trauma that Greg Abbott has experienced in his life carries with them forever. And I think that that is representative in the way he's been governor for the last couple of years. He's fucking nuts. When that tree fell on him and took his legs, I think it fucking knocked the sense in his head that was decent. That happens. Sometimes people, they have an accident and suddenly they can't taste anything anymore. Like, I can't taste it. Other times, they have an accident and tree falls on them and, they suddenly start jerking off in Target stores because that part of the brain is now fucked up. I think with this guy, he's just a lunatic. Anyway. Bad people. I used to dislike Governor Haircut. Perry, remember that? Perry was way better than the crew that came in after him. These people are evil. This entire state, not the state, but this entire representative there, the government there in Texas, it's ugly. Needs to be changed. It's okay. All those people moving from California. I love it. Remember when they're all coming from California to escape the liberalism. No, they're not. They're coming to California to escape the taxes. They're going to vote Democrat when they get here. And we're going to see that. All right, good. That's good news. I like Jimmy T. I love Jimmy Tallarico. I've got a lot of hope for this new crop of people. And look, you want to send somebody on the right? You want to send somebody on the right who's decent and normal and seems to be a good person? I'll listen to that person as well. But guess what? What you're getting on the right, the new faces on the right, are those crazy ones like Anna Luna and whatever. They're just fucking nuts. So you show me somebody on the right who seems like a good, decent, upstanding person without being weird. Because I will say this. Tallarico might be weird. There might be some weirdness there. I don't know. How is he with girls? Does he, is he weird with girls? I don't know. There's a lot. This is why I say we vote for him, because we don't know. We don't know. We haven't been tainted. Other people haven't told us why or why not we should vote for him, right? So, whatever, just vote for him. He seems nice. What the fuck is this? Did you guys hear about this story? Did you guys hear? This is probably a nothing story, but I just wanted to mention it because it's just another example of how we live in a world where there is 8 billion people. How many billion people? AI. This is what we have AI for. AI, what is the current population of the Earth? I'm never sure. I know America's 435 million. 8.3 billion. All right, I should have gone with what I want. 8.3 billion people on this planet. I read somebody had posted this, and I thought this was absolutely brilliant about the 8.3 billion people on Earth. This person posted, I'm convinced that this world is a gigantic resort for 500 people. And the rest of us just work here. That's pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, this entire world is a fucking resort for 500 people. And the rest of the 8.3 billion of us, we're just doing room service for them. Good Lord. Well, another example of that. Here's one of the people who are certainly enjoying their time here at the Earth Resort. And again, probably not a big deal. Probably the kind of things that just happens all the time. But I do want to mention it. So there is a sanctioned super yacht, 370 million pound. Have no idea what that translates to. 370 million pounds super yacht owned by a sanctioned Russian oligarch, a billionaire. Just cruising up and down the Strait of Hormuz. He's just out there. He's just out there in his super yacht. Apparently, he's not worried about mines or whatever. He's just out there. He's sailing the Strait of Hormuz, going in and out. Sanctioned. This yacht isn't even supposed to fucking exist. But the United States military is like, he can pass. And weirdly enough, the Iranian military is like, he can pass. See? Just another example of how the world truly is a giant resort for 500 people. And the rest of us, we all just fucking work here. Because whatever is happening in the Strait of Hormuz has zero effect on the sanctioned Russian oligarch who is allowed to just float around free of any harassment, because both sides who are at war right now, Iran and America, are like, no, he's cool. He's cool. He can come through. Blow that fucking ship up and him with it. A sanctioned Russian billionaire's 370 million pound super yacht has brazenly sailed multiple times through the volatile Strait of Hormuz at the heart of the Iran war. The floating palace linked to oligarch Alexei Mordajev mysteriously has slipped through the world's most dangerous shipping lane multiple times. Shipping data shows that the colossal 142-meter vessel Nord slipped out of Dubai on Friday afternoon before cruising through the World War III flashpoint and docking in Muscat on Sunday. Valued at around $370 million, the luxury vessel boasts multiple decks and jaw-dropping features. Oh, isn't that fun? I bet he's taking some of the other guests here on Resort Planet Earth. But he's taking a bunch of the other guests out to just, you want to see the war up close? Don't worry. They won't fire on us. I've paid off both governments. All right. Honestly, I can't read any more of that story. You know how those things affect me. They affect me. I got a lot of stuff to do today. Got to get out of here. We're not going to have much more of a show here, but that's okay. Got things to do. Adam says Beto got 48.33 of the vote. Ted Cruz's 50.89 was the closest senatorial election in decades. And a loser. There you go. That's how the left looks. But we almost won. We almost won. There is valor and honor in defeat. We on the left, because we're fucking losers who are used to losing and being picked on, and we don't have a... Stop it, Adam. You got fucking blown out. It was Ted Cruz. Imagine if the right was running somebody that not everybody hated. Fucking people hate Ted Cruz, and they still voted for him because Beto was so badly branded by the right. Let's see here. Text, here we go. NO. Texas Republicans are the new Communist Party. Less freedom and more corruption than any other state in the union. Free Texas from the communist grip. Vote blue. It's the only choice you have. The only choice is to vote blue because there is no opposition party in this country. What we have identified is that the people who are running this country in the state of Texas, the state of Illinois too, Pritzker ain't no better. This fool is trying to be president, and he's going to lose the fucking Chicago Bears because he can't juggle both arguments. Look, all of our elected officials are pieces of shit, whether they are right or left. You can't point me somebody in the left. You can't show me somebody who's admirable. Maybe you can. I don't think you can. I don't think you can. I don't see anybody. You know, I admire Tellerico. That's why I admire. Actually, that's not true. I have been saying Tallarico is a hope, right? He doesn't have any power. He's a state rep, right? He hasn't won anything yet, but people are hoping. There are elected officials who I think are playing the moderate game really well. And they're almost all female governors of Eastern Seaboard states. They're that Maggie chick, Maggie, whatever, Maggie, I don't know what her name is. She's fucking awesome. Isn't she the one that's the former CIA data analyst and whatever? Anyway, she's fucking awesome. And she's forced to be a Democrat. Like, you look at her and you're like, okay, she's probably right there in the middle. But she is caucusing with the Democrats because she's not going to be fucking MAGA. Because she's normal. Here's another woman, too. Is that Spanberger? Is that who I like? Whatever. I don't know. You show me a Republican that's like that. You can't. You can't. Josh Shapiro, the Democratic governor of Philadelphia. I like him. They tried to pipe bomb his house. Oh, did I mention that one? Did I mention that one when I was going down the list? Sorry. Hey, Barney. I think there's one act of political violence that I skipped over. Nope. 2025. I said it. Governor Josh Shapiro's house. I don't know. Give me a Republican. Is there any of you people on the right there who give me a Republican who you think appears to be an authentic, principled person? And I don't give a shit what their state. Honestly, if you want to do abortion, I don't give a fuck about their position on abortion. Okay. I want you to tell me somebody who you think represents a good, honorable, decent person out of the current Republican right. Can't name one person. Adam says, this is why I wanted Crockett to win and then lose the general election, because I think Tallarico could run for president. Would be harder if he loses this election. Yeah, but I think he can win this election and then run for president next time, right? You got to be. He does that. Don't look at Tallarico and go, well, if he runs for senator, he's going to have to be senator for 6 years before. Barack Obama, motherfucker. Barack Obama was a senator for like a year when he went, I'm running for president. That's the route for Tallarico. Get him there in Washington and have him immediately start running for president. Because, yeah, I do. I think that guy on the national stage, I think there are enough good people in this country that are going to go, he just seems better than the rest of them. The rest of them all seem like they're petty and that they're, political, and he just seems better. We can hope. We can hope. Here we go. Tallarico is the true Christian. Just putting that out there. I happen to agree. I happen to agree that we are hearing the true messaging of Jesus from two people right now, Pope Leo and James Tallarico. And it doesn't mean you don't have to be Catholic, you don't have to be Christian, whatever. These are two different religions, Catholicism, and then good old-fashioned American Southern Baptist, right? They're both preaching what Jesus taught us. Be cool. That's it. That's the long and the short of it. Jesus is fucking cool, man. Jesus is awesome. Jesus doesn't care if the black lesbian shows up at the party. Jesus is going to welcome the black lesbian. If your Jesus doesn't, your Jesus sucks. Your Jesus is a fraud. All right, let's see. What else do we have? We'll run through some of these things. Oh, okay. Here you go. Let's we got some video here. This is gonna be touchy. We're gonna talk about real men. We're talking about real men shit. Now, I told you, I said that we're gonna play a couple of videos, and it's gonna be one is gonna be an example of a real man, and the other is gonna be an example of not a real man. Unfortunately, upon re-examining, the example of the real man is problematic because the real man is kind of violent. It's the real man, although I think responds in an appropriate way, the real man, it is kind of problematic. So, okay, so let's watch this. Let me first give you an example of what I call the real man, and then we'll discuss whether or not this was, the right thing to do. Hold on, let me pull it up. Yeah. Nope. Don't want it. Would you stop? I hate these damn things. All right, here we go. So let's watch this. This comes to us from a bar, and it is a man and his wife, his girlfriend, whatever, a man and his woman, as we see, playing a game of pool. Going to the bar, corner tavern. He's going to have a couple of drinks, maybe get some wings, right? Play a couple games of pool, go home. You got work in the morning. This is the beauty of being a young couple. At least it used to be. I don't look at this bar. This bar is empty. What? Nobody goes to bars anymore. This bar is empty. All right, so here they go. They're getting ready to play a little game of pool. This feller over here in the red shirt, he's who you're going to need to pay attention to. He's garden variety alcoholic because he is way too fucking smashed to be in a bar this dead. If you are this smashed in a bar that is dead, there's no excuse. You're an alcoholic. You're just there to get drunk. Now, if the bar was packed and everybody was having a good time and you were fucked up, I can be like, well, it was a celebration, man. That place was bopping. Everybody was doing shots. It was great. This fucking guy, there ain't nobody in this bar. And this guy is shit hammered, the guy in the red. Now, it appears that somebody who works at the bar is having a conversation with the guy in the red. The guy in the red is drunk and he's doing the talking too close thing, but you can see that somebody is having a conversation with drunk guy in the red shirt, and it probably goes something like this. All right. You're not driving, right? You're okay. You need to just calm down. Everything's fine. You just got, right? That's probably the conversation that's being had with the drunk guy in the bar while this lovely couple just wants to play a game, have some wings, and maybe a couple of beers. All right, there he is. All right, so now he's been set free by the guy who works at the bar, and he's all right. He is feeling it. Fucking alcohol, man. Alcohol is the worst. Nobody high is going to behave this way. Okay, here we go. Let's watch it one more time. Look at him. He's like, ah. All right, here's the mistake. All right, he sees the lady. Look at this drunk ass son of a bitch. She's moving away. She's doing well, she's not, she's moving away, and he is just, hey, baby. Let's watch how this plays out now that you've seen the setup. Okay. Hey, baby. Touched her. Uh-oh. Here you go. Boom. Oh. Like I said, it's problematic. The violence of it is problematic, but this is how a real man acts. I'm sorry. I don't know if this is going to be a provocative. I don't know if a lot of people are going to be like, that was unnecessary. No, it wasn't. In 2026, you know better. Now this guy, but he was drunk. Not my problem. Then this maybe should be the wake-up call that he needs to get help. Because this is not something that you are allowed to do to a girl that I am with. You don't get to touch her, okay? And if you do touch her, I have no choice but to touch you back. Because that's how men are expected to react in this situation. And don't clutch your pearls and act like, oh, you're just being a macho asshole. You women want this too. This is how you feel protected. This is one of the most primal things that we do. Now, I say this is troubling, because the sheer force of this punch could have killed this man. And at that point, we open up a whole new can of worms about now we got to have this in court. And I don't know if I'm on the jury. I don't think I vote to convict, but you never know. Let's watch it one more time. Watch the way this guy immediately springs. There is no, hey, you want to take it outside? I mean, many men are pussies. A lot of men are pussies. A lot of men do not want to fight, but they're very loud and they're frauds. And so what they'll do is they'll try and give you every opportunity to back out of the fight. It's a poker game. This is not that guy. This guy saw his woman being grabbed and he jumped the dude immediately. That does not stand. If not just for in the moment, you want this chick telling that story. You want that about you in your friend circle. Yeah, he grabbed my ass and started dancing. And then, Brad just laid him out. Should be very proud of this guy. This guy's mother should be very proud of him. Again, problematic because the drunk really got laid out. But I don't want to live in a society where this is considered the wrong way to react in this situation. A man protects his woman and his children. Oh, you sound like such a misogynist. Fuck you. We're bigger, we're stronger, right? This is not up for... Oh, but what about women who... Okay, some women can kick their husband's ass. Can we agree that that's not the norm? Can we agree that on the whole, men are going to be taller, they're going to have larger muscles and thicker bone density than women? It's a genetic thing, okay? So one more time, let's watch this again because the knockout is incredible. Right here, he's like, this guy needs help. He may never taste salt again. Look at her, and I love how she knows. She's like, oh crap. She's like, here we go. No, Brad, no, don't, Brad. And then, this happens because this is who Brad is. Brad protects his woman. Bam. Oh, Jesus. Holy shit, that's a... And now the doorman, he's like, you gotta go. Which... he should take the doorman's advice and go because, you don't need to stick around here. This is, at this point, what did you pay with a credit card? Maybe they got your name there. I don't know. This is why. Maybe you use cash. If you're a volatile individual, he needs to get out of there. Because this doesn't look good. This doesn't look good at all. Yeah, there it is. Oh, let's see how his head lands. Oh, no. All right, that's good. All right, this is good. This is very good. His head doesn't hit the floor first. His shoulders and his shoulder blades hit the floor first. That's a concussive thing. If his head had hit the ground first, you could be looking at serious brain damage. This guy might just be drunk enough that his body was able to withhold this. That's a real thing. Drunk drivers almost always survive. For some reason, drunk drivers are always like, yeah, I broke my shoulder, but that's it. Everybody else in the car is dead. All right, there you have it. That's my example of a real man. That is my example of a real man. And now I switch over to the chat room so that we can look and see how people are yelling at me. Is anybody yelling at me? All right, let's see. Here's Al. Al says, a bigger person in their right mind wouldn't have done that. Sorry, Pugs, but that was a little overboard. I fully expect some people to see it that way. Fully expect it. Mike says, I've watched that video 30 times over the last 2 weeks. It feels good, right? It feels good. It feels good to see an asshole. It feels, I don't know. I think it feels good. Texas. This is Frank. Frank says, can't be fighting in bars. Take it outside. Yeah, don't touch my woman, Frank. I'm sorry. Mr. Rules. Nope. Don't touch my woman. You know better than to touch it. It's 2026. You know better. Let's see. Adam, here you go. Adam, I knew this is who I was actually baiting. Toxic male ego shit right here. Don't your dirt bitch my woman. Yeah, okay, Adam. Okay. That's fine. Well, look, Adam, I know that you wouldn't protect your wife. I know that you wouldn't you'd be like, hey, mister, hey, you take your hands up and fucking stop it, Adam. You'd be right there. You'd be fucking throwing hands. Stop acting like you're above it all. You don't touch your woman or your children ever. Let's see here. Dude looked like a mannequin when he fell. The way he fell, says Peter. Yeah, well, that's probably the intoxication helps. He was already he was fine. He's going to be fine. Like I say, the drunk drivers, they always survive. Something about the alcohol, it fixes them up. Al says, so you see the world is at war and it's because of this type of attitude and you complain about the world. No, I don't see how you're making that connection at all. I see the world in the situation that we're in. War. I don't see how this is a societal thing. This is men not being afraid to be grown-up men anymore. You get your ass whipped. You touch my girl. You touch my kid. You touch my dog. You get your ass whipped, and I might even get my ass whipped. See, that's the thing that you have to understand. That it doesn't matter. In this case, it was a much bigger guy and a smaller drunk. No, it doesn't fucking matter your size. They touch your woman, you might have to take a fucking beating. But guess what? Real men can take beatings. Okay? That's, my son got this out of the way in like 8th grade, but I always say the biggest assholes, when you meet a man in his 20s or 30s or whatever, I can always point out the guy who never got fucking punched in the face as a kid. The biggest assholes are the 34-year-old guy who never got fucking hit in the face, and he's still running his mouth and being a fucking asshole. You got to get fucking punched in the face. You got to be 12 or 13 years old. You got to run your mouth, and somebody's got to fucking smack you for it. That's how you become a better person. That person needed to get smacked. He went up to that girl. He started grinding on her. He needed to get smacked. Pugs, you're advocating for violence. No, man, I'm just advocating for some of the real basic primal reactions that we seem to have lost as a society. I'm not saying you go around and you do that because, what are you looking at my woman and then you punch him? No, that woman, by the left's definition, was sexually assaulted right in front of him. And now you want to be like, no, protect the rapist. That man was a rapist by just about every definition of sexual assault I've ever seen during the hashtag Me Too movement. And now suddenly he doesn't deserve what he got. Okay, there you go. All right, that was fun. That was fun. Look at us. We identified the pussies in the chat room. All right, now let me give you an example of something that we can all agree on. This is a trend that has been happening for years, ever since, things have gone viral. This has been a trend, and every time it happens, we're shocked. And 100% of the people who see these videos all pledge that we would never do that. This is the worst thing. We always do that. And then, seems like a lot of us, when the opportunity strikes, we act like the asshole. So what is this viral genre that I'm talking about? Well, baseball games, it's baseball season, and balls get hit into the stands, and kids run for them, and adults steal balls from kids. That's what I'm talking about. Here's an example of this happening, and I don't understand why this is still happening. Again, it's been 20 years of people, this is terrible behavior, and yet no matter what, it happens. This comes to us from the best baseball site on Twitter, John Boy Media. I don't know if you follow John Boy, but he is awesome. He's a Yankee fan, so screw him. But he is awesome, and this comes to us, again, from John Boy Media. Here we go. Here is an example of not a real man.
Hit pretty well to left. And gone.
All right. So it's hit right to him. And he's a big fat tub of unathletic goo. So, of course, he fucking fumbled the catch. This is probably a guy who sits there screaming at like $1 million center fielders about, misjudging fly balls at the warning track. But meanwhile, he gets one right to the fucking belly and he can't handle it.
Daniel Schneemann.
Watch this.
Hit pretty well to left.
You got to catch this, fucker. Look at this. This is coming right down to him. You got to catch this, you pussy. Nope. Bounces out. Nope. Couldn't handle it. Now, if I'm being honest, that's probably not easy. I remember once in like the mid 90s, I was at Bears training camp. Our radio station was doing live from Bears training camp. And, we did a bit in the morning where, hey, let's see if pugs can field punts. So all the Bears punters were like punting to me, and I was trying to field punts. And out of 10, they said, how many can he do out of 10? 0. 0 for 10. Couldn't. So I keep my mouth shut now whenever I see one of these guys in the NFL returning punts. I'm like, oh, God, that's not easy. So, although I want to make fun of this guy for missing this, I probably would have missed this too. All right, let's watch it in its entirety.
Hit pretty well to left.
Bounces. See, the ball is now bouncing. He misjudged it. It's not his ball anymore. It's anyone's ball.
And gone.
And it rolls right to a little girl. Look at the little girl. The little girl at the game with her mom. The little girl. The ball rolls. Old fat loser boy, he couldn't handle it, and it bounced right to the little girl. Oh no, they're going to start fighting for it, and that man beat the little girl. Look at him. Is he going to hold it up? Is he going to be proud? Is he going to be like, look what I got?
Schneeman, his 4th homer of the year.
Look at this piece of
he's
shit.
not going to steal that.
Yeah, that can't happen.
And then he was proud of it. Give that ball back. Come on.
Look at this little girl. Look at this little girl. What kind of a man doesn't judge this situation as being a moment? You've been to how many fucking games, dude? How many games have you been to in your loser ass life? This little girl, this might be her first game. This is a memory that she will have for the rest of her life. For you, this shouldn't even be a blip on your radar. You're a grown-ass man. It's a fucking ball in a baseball game. You're not 12. It wasn't hit to you by a guy whose poster you have in your room, you fucking fool. So what is this, like in the moment, what is the chaos of the moment where this person realizes that he is fighting for a ball with a little girl? And he doesn't immediately go, by the way, just again, awareness, the cameras are on you here. You got to know, it's been 20 years of us seeing these videos. How is it that in the moment, this guy doesn't go, oh, wait, this is on video, and basically hand the ball to the girl and then put his hands up like I would? That's the play. 25,000 people would applaud you. The play-by-play announcers would have been like, yeah, no, that's how you do it. That's the good. How do we know this? Because we've seen those videos. We've seen those videos. And I got to ask you, if you're a man, what is more important to you? Having a viral clip of you going around, actually understanding the moment and making a lifetime memory for a little kid? Is that more important to you? Or is getting the baseball more important to you? You're a retard. If it's choice 2, there is something fucking wrong with you. So let's watch it and let's see how this whole thing played out, because I've said my piece.
Hit pretty well to left. And gone. Daniel Schneeman, his 4th homer of the year. No, he's not going to steal that.
Yeah, that can't happen.
And then he was proud of it. Give that ball back. Come on.
I wonder if they had meatloaf tonight.
Look at this guy. Look at, he's like texting. I just beat a little girl for a ball. How cool am I? I hope he's texting a friend who's going, yeah, you're getting fucking fried on TV right now. They are talking about what an asshole you are.
Well, when you see something wrong has occurred,
there you go.
It's nice to make up for it. And Ryan Bass making up for that Cleveland fan by going out making friends, and she deserves that baseball.
All right, now, far be it from me, the hated and dreaded Cleveland Guardians, to give credit, but this is great. This is great. They were aware. The team was aware. They saw it. Obviously, they were talking about it on the broadcast. They sent somebody down there to take care of this little girl. That's how you win a PR war. That guy goes viral as an asshole, and at the tail end of the video, you are heralded as a champion. Because look at what you did for that little girl. Fucking guy. All right. Hey, incidentally, I'm wondering, they always like to out the guy. Did they out the guy on the thread? Let me see. Hold on. Oh, what an asshole. Like, seriously, if that was my son, like, he looks like, he could be, I'm old enough to be like his father. If that was like my son, holy cow, man. I wouldn't know. I would be devastated. I can only imagine what that person's parents think. That this is what I raised. Somebody that fought a little girl for a baseball. He is that much of an immature fool that he prizes a baseball over doing something nice for a rando little girl. What a piece of garbage. It's probably MAGA. Whoa! Hey, that was unnecessary. That was kidding. It is Ohio, though. Did they out him? Let's see if they got see if we get a name here. Here's his Twitter for no particular reason. All right. This is kind of, well, that's a good sign. He no longer has a Twitter account. That's good. That's how he's step one. Let's see, what else do we have here? Max Quinn, I guess, is his name. Here we go. Max Quinn He actually sent out something this morning before ending his X.com. He quit X.com, but his last post was, the part you didn't see was me giving the ball to the little girl. Just because I got the ball doesn't mean I ended up with the ball. Fuck you, dude. You had 1 split second to give her the ball, to get the credit for being the guy that gave her the ball. You celebrated the ball. You went back and you sat down. We saw it. Now, if in those moments you then realized, too slow, loser. You realized too slow. You're a jerk off. And the only reason you realized was because you started to recognize that maybe people would be mad at you for this. You didn't do it because you thought it was the right thing. You did it because you didn't want people to be mad at you. Max Quinn, you piece of garbage who is no longer on Twitter. All right, that's going to do it. All right, anyway. That guy, screw that guy. Do you guys remember the couple? Do you remember the couple? Oh, my God, I'll never forget this couple. I don't even know what's true about them. I just know that I made up this whole life for this couple. They were at a Ranger game. They were just a couple. Just like it was like a Karen and whatever a Karen is made to or married to. A Karen and a Kevin. Right? Isn't that what they are? And they're there and they look like they're like South Lake people, you know, and they like stole the ball from a little girl and then they celebrated and took pictures. That was like a couple of years ago. Fuck those people. Those people suck. Do you know that I look forward to, like, when I go to a baseball game, if I'm sitting in a place where there is, you know, probability that there could be a foul or whatever, I always look around for the kid. I like before it happens, I'm like, okay, what kid is acting cool? What kid around me am I going to give this ball to if I get it? Because I'm certainly going to try to catch it. You got to try to catch it. But then the pimp move is that you catch it and then you hand it to a little girl or a little kid around you. That's the pimp move. You know, my son, this is crazy. I have probably been to, I don't know. I mean, I used to work for a station that carried White Sox games. So I've probably been to over 200 professional Major League Baseball games in my life. I mean, there was a time where I was going every other day. So in my entire life growing up, I never got one foul ball or home run ball. Not one. I mean, yeah, they've been hit to my area and it's like, that was just like 5 rows square. Like, that's a regular occurrence, but never actually, here it comes. In the first 5 baseball games that I've taken my son Mason to, he has gotten 2 balls. 2. One a foul tip and the other one a home run. He's gotten 2. That's insane. Right to him, too. Not like he's not a great athlete in that regard. It's just he's right there, and he's like, bap, and he got one, and then he got the home run ball. The home run ball actually bounced off a seat and rolled down, and he was just quick. And he did get to the ball first, but I will point out, he did this when he was about 11 or 12 years old, and he was competing against other 11 and 12-year-olds. So my son getting the ball, that was deserved. That's fine. The chaos, a bunch of kids, a bunch of teenage boys running for the ball, that's fine. That's Lord of the Flies right there. Let's just let that settle itself. But the foul tip came right to him. The foul tip was just like, and it's spinning. And oh my God, that was a scary one. We were at the Rangers White Sox game and we were seated right above the dugout. Actually, not right above it, but just where the fence stops, the foul ball fence stops. And we're sitting there and a foul tip got popped all the way up super high and it went over the fence and my kid is sitting next to me and he gets his hands up and I'm like, this thing is fucking coming right for us. And he caught it, but he caught the ball like right next to my head. So it's like I heard it. Like I heard the ball hit his hands. He caught it barehanded with his 2 hands. He got big giant hands anyway, but he caught it with his big hands. And what I'll never forget is as he caught it, the sound of the ball, the foul tip was spinning in his hand. Like it went like into his hand. I don't know. It was just very cool. It was just very cool sound. I'm like, man, good catch, man. And he held it up and people were like, woo. It wasn't a particularly good catch. It was in fact right to him. So, but anyway, he made the catch. Two times, 2 out of the first 5 games we've been to, this kid has gotten 2 foul balls. Oh, and then a third time, Liam Hendricks. Liam Hendricks, who is was our closer back in the day. After a White Sox Ranger game there in Arlington, Liam Hendricks got the win, and this is the same game where he got the foul ball. We were right along the dugout, and after the game ends, Liam Hendricks, who just got the save, walked off and started to get interviewed by the local White Sox broadcast crew. Hey, good game tonight, Liam. As he's walking off the mound. And as he was walking off the mound, in that section, we were sort of right there at the rail to the dugouts. I don't know why. My kid wanted to get a good look at him. It's a baseball thing. It's fun, right? And as Liam Hendricks was walking, he tossed my kid a ball. He tossed him the ball. He got 2 balls in one game. I've been to 200 plus baseball games. I've never come close to getting a foul ball other than when I was with him. Anyway, that's fun. Let's see. Ross, what are you causing trouble? Ross says, what if that little girl was calling that guy a retard or something the whole time? Well, that's more information that I would need to consider, Ross. So, it's possible. I don't think so. I don't think that's it. What else did Ross say? Ross said, would you punch the guy for taking the ball? Because that's what a real man does. No. You can taking the ball from my daughter. You want to do that? If I'm sitting there and I see this grown ass man and he's on the ground, yeah, I would absolutely. But in that case, it was a mom. It was the daughter and the mom. If I'm a dad and I'm there with my daughter and the ball starts coming and my daughter just bends down from her seat. Remember, the ball came to her. She wasn't running for the ball. The guy missed it. Bounced to her, and because she's a little girl, she obviously doesn't field properly yet. She bobbled it. But if I'm her dad and this grown man, I immediately stand up and I'm like, back the fuck up. That is her ball. So yeah, Ross, if he was scrambling on the ground with my daughter for a ball, I'd kick that fucker in the head. You're goddamn right. Are you insane? Anyway. However, if my daughter was calling him a retard, I think he would then have to fight me because he can't fight the daughter. He'd have to fight me. And then I'd be in a fight. And it would be because my daughter's got a shit mouth. I don't have a daughter. I wouldn't know how, all of these things when I talk about daughter, it's all speculative. I would love a daughter. I always tell my son, I tell my son, I go, I am ruined. I am going to die. I tell my son, I go, I am going to die alone on the floor of my 1-bedroom funky apartment, and I will be found because my decomposing body will make the other neighbors call someone, and then they'll find me. I say this to my son. And this is going to happen to me because I didn't have a daughter, because I got a son. Daughters will take care of you. If I had a daughter, there is no way I'd die in a pool of my own piss. But I got a son. I'm going to be dead for months. They're going to call him. They're going to be like, yeah, your dad rotted on the floor. So if you've got daughters, if you're a man with daughters, that's good for you. You're going to be taken care of. But if you're a man with sons, buckle up. Good luck. That's why the daughter-in-law is so important. I need him to marry a woman who maybe her father's dead, then I can slide into that role. I'll be like, oh, I love you. You're my daughter-in-law. I always wanted a daughter. And so maybe she'll take care of me. I also hold out hope for a granddaughter. I think a granddaughter, except I had my son so late. By the time my son has a granddaughter who can take care of me, I'm going to be like 105. I need a 19-year-old granddaughter when I'm like 85. That's what I need. That ain't going to work. Ain't gonna work unless my son starts, get after it, kid. We need a granddaughter to take care of me because you ain't gonna do it. You can't even walk the dog. So what's going on tonight? We got the big White House dinner, right? The King of England. What kind of craziness is gonna come out of that? We're gonna have a big story out of the White House dinner with the King of England. Okay, so here, I'll leave you with this. We'll give you one last thing that I'll talk about here for a moment. As my coffee gets warm. What time is it? All right, yeah, it's good. I gotta leave here at 3:30. Okay. So Netflix has a new docu-series. And I've been watching it, and it's not a docu-series that would typically appeal to me, although, people might think that it would. You'd be like, oh, I bet you're into that. You're Gen X. You grew up in the 80s. I bet you can't wait to dive into the Netflix Hulk Hogan docu-series. But no, man, I was never a wrestling guy. I was never really into wrestling. I was aware of wrestling because I've always been culturally aware, but I wasn't a super slam or anything like that kind of guy when I was a kid. I have very little interest in the backstory of Hulk Hogan. But somehow I found myself watching it. My son is very much into wrestling. He loves wrestling. He loves the Legend of Hulk. And I always feel like maybe I've fallen short when it comes, because he asked me about it. Man, what was it like when Hulk and Macho Man? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I was into chicks. I liked girls. I liked comedy movies and music. I wasn't really in sports, big into sports, not fake sports. So I always feel like I don't really have that. So I decided that I was going to sample the Netflix Hulk Hogan documentary. And last night I watched episode 2. It's a 4-part series. I'm laying there in my bed. I'm watching this episode 2 and the Hulk Hogan saying, I'm crying like a baby. I'm like, maybe I misjudged the Hulkster. There was this whole part, and I remember this. I mean, I do. I was there. So I remember Hulk Hogan turned into a supreme douchebag once he hit 50. That's what I'm going to think. Hulk Hogan, since 50, has been kind of, trying to hang on to what he was, kind of pathetic, kind of sad, kind of weird. You don't see Mr. T out there at 70 going, beautiful. It's not a thing. But Hulk Hogan was out there still doing it. So, over the course of the last 20 years, I've always kind of thought that Hulk Hogan had become a bit of a parody of himself. Although I did recognize, being a Gen X kid from the 80s and the 90s, that he is without question an American pop culture icon. That cannot be questioned. Just because I wasn't particularly interested in the antics of Hulk Hogan back in the 80s doesn't mean that he wasn't incredibly effective penetrating, everybody else of my generation. He big cultural icon. So I'm watching it. And episode two kind of gets into what it was like when he finally became a superstar. Like, we're talking about the mid 1980s. He went from living in a funky apartment, not being able to pay the bills, yet being in the Rocky movie and going on all these talk shows, but still living on like $3,000 a month, not really having any money. And then how after WrestleMania, it just all exploded for him. The very first WrestleMania, it just exploded, and he was there to stay. And finally, he's a millionaire. And now he's Hulk. And the entirety of the WWF at the time, now the WWE, was kind of built around him. He was the engine that built that company, right? We all knew that. But there was this moment in episode 2 where he starts to talk about how Hulk Hogan was a bit. My name is Terry Bozzio. I'm a guy. I needed to create a character. It's a work. I created this work and I created this character, and it was the way that I was going to penetrate wrestling. And then all of a sudden, Hulk Hogan became this thing that is much bigger than what I ever thought, and it stopped being a work. And he started talking about all of the things that he was pretending to be as Hulk Hogan. Eat your veggies, love America, stay in school, hey, little guy, friend to all the kids. That image of Hulk Hogan. He had this moment where he realized that is an act, that I am actually a piece of shit who's partying and doing coke and, sex and all of this stuff. And then I'm showing up to these children's hospitals hungover, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. But every single time he did it, and he talks about this epiphany, and it made me start to cry, because they showed all of these footage in raw video, not stuff that was publicized, just raw video that his wife filmed of him on a random Saturday, just showing up at a kid's hospital with a bunch of Make-A-Wish kids. And I am crying because the authenticity of Terry Bozzio or Bolio or whatever his name, Boglio, whatever it was, the authenticity of the real man, forgetting about, the douchebaggy, oh, brother, forgetting about that. The real man himself loved these kids. And it's because these kids loved him. And it's all these little kids with brain tumors who probably died like a year later or whatever. And they're smiling and they're wrestling with them. And oh my God, it was really beautiful. And I started to think, this is another example of where we get lazy when we think of people. We just, whatever we want to think of people is what they kind of become. But in the case of Hulk Hogan, I was forced to think of him as a more complex, fully rounded person. And guess what I came down on? He's a good human being. He was a good human being, despite like the money, and money changes you and turns you into a narcissist and arrogant and all of that stuff. And it doesn't matter, whatever your political is. Oh, he got political. Shut the fuck up. When he was alone and being normal, he was a wonderful human being with these kids. And it was all about him knowing I couldn't do it. See, I'm crying because I couldn't do it. I don't want to be, I can't be around sick kids. It would just destroy me. I already suffer from depression. I mean, it would just be so. But to see him do it and to see him talk about understanding that it stopped being about him and the Hulkster, and this was just about these kids having this moment with somebody that they never thought in a million years they could meet. Just great. It was just great. I'm really enjoying it. There's a couple of more episodes. I'm sure it'll get wild. We'll get into all the sex stuff with Bubba the Love Sponge and all that. The first episode was very interesting. It was about how he broke in and how he was broke and how he had to do this and that and the other thing. The second episode is about when he got big, and that's the last episode, when he got big and how he changed from a guy who looked at Hulk Hogan as being just a character that he did for a living. And he was like, maybe in a couple of years I'll change and I'll do a different character. But it's just about how he went from like seeing the character of Hulk Hogan as that and then recognizing how much it affected these kids and how he needed to be Hulk Hogan all the time. And I just thought it was beautiful. It's exhausting, man. It's exhausting to be this guy, brother. I just, with the kids, they need it, man. And so I got to show up and I got to be like this. And I just love them so much. And it was authentic. It was authentic. That's the way it registered with me. Nothing more authentic to me than when you see raw home video of the way somebody is behaving when they don't expect anybody public to see it. That was impressive. So I highly recommend it. The first 2 episodes. Tonight, I'm going to go home and I'll probably watch the second half. It's the new Netflix. Why would I do that? It's the new Netflix series, Hulk Hogan, The Life of Hulk Hogan, or whatever it is. It's pretty good. All of the Netflix WWE stuff, Netflix signed a deal with WWE a year ago, and now they do the WWE stuff on Netflix and all that. But in addition to the regular weekly wrestling casts that they put together, they also do a lot of really good documentaries. They've been doing a lot of really interesting things, and I hope it's not lost on you that I don't like wrestling. So for me to watch these things and go, well, that's really interesting. It's not just stupid wrestling stuff. It's actually interesting about these people. These are just athletic theater people. That's what wrestlers are. They're just athletic theater people who take steroids and, live in the gym, but also very theatrical. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We'll be back tomorrow, probably around noon. I got to get out of here right now because I got stuff to do, a life to live. Tomorrow, I'm sure we'll be covering whatever craziness happens. Remember, I'm predicting it now. Some crazy is going to happen at the White House court. Something crazy is going to happen at the state dinner tonight for King Charles and Queen Camilla. Is she a real queen? Is she a real queen? I know we call her Queen Camilla, but they have like different stages of queen. Is she royal? I don't know. I don't know what she is. She's I thought the whole deal was that she could never be a queen, but now we call her Queen Camilla. Anyway, more on that tomorrow. All right, I love you guys. Be good to each other. See you tomorrow at noon for more of The Rant with me, Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. Only where? RadioMisfits.com.